Hello, everyone. It's 9 a.m. sharp. So I think we'll slowly get started while people are still making their way to join us. Welcome to this OECD Roundtable on smart cities and inclusive growth. My name is Soo-Jin Kim. I'm the Deputy Head of the OECD Division in charge of cities, urban policies, and sustainable development division. And I'm pleased to serve as your moderator for this first, opening session. Just a fun fact to start with, did you know that the expression artificial intelligence is actually turning 70 years old this year, 70. Back in 1955, I understand, there was this American computer scientist called John McCarthy who first coined the term. And if you think of the root meaning of these two words, artificial intelligence with artificial, that comes from a Latin word, I understand, that sort of means the art or the craft, and intelligence meaning choosing, between different options. So we could somehow think of artificial intelligence as a way to help us make choices. And cities are nothing but a series of choices, how we move around, how we use our resources such as water or electricity, how we design our streets, our buildings. So our journey together will be exactly about how AI can help cities make better choices. And these are exactly the 4 questions that we had in mind when we designed our agenda today. So let me walk you very quickly through these. So first, how cities are using AI today. Government spending on public services using AI is expected to increase by almost 5 times over the next 9 years, jumping from 22 to almost $100 billion by 2033. And when you look at what this money is going into, it's really about helping cities become more efficient and more responsive. So for example, in the Colombian city of Barranquilla, you have AI that is being used to map informal settlements with an accuracy rate of almost 85%. And this is really helping the city better target its areas that lack water or roads or essential services. So thanks to AI, cities are really learning to choose smarter. Then the second guiding question that we had in mind beyond this simple efficiency was really how AI can also drive more sustainable urban development. So for example, the city of Seoul in South Korea has aligned its AI strategy with its climate action plan. So it's using AI to drive, for example, low carbon mobility or waste management and disaster response. So AI is not just about smart technologies, but really about strategic transitions towards greener, fairer, and more livable cities. Then, of course, and this is our third session of the day, still cities are facing a number of challenges. So it can be about fragmented or incomplete data, or small pilot projects that never get to scale up, or funding gaps or rigid procurement rules that are basically slowing down this strategic investment in AI innovation. So what can cities and governments and also the private sector do next? There are at least 3 things that we will discuss in the last session of the day. So for example, first, put in place strong governance frameworks. For example, the city of Amsterdam has built this open data platform that is training AI models in a very ethical and transparent way. Then the second thing that cities can do is to embed AI in long-term strategies. So it can be the climate agenda, like in Seoul, but also other sectoral strategies. And third, AI must be funded like a strategic infrastructure, what it is. And this is why some cities like Barcelona are using co-financing models to sustain innovation over time. So you'll find dozens and dozens of more inspiring examples in the issues note that we have prepared for today's discussion. It's a great read, you'll see, and we have an amazing team of experts who have written this. They are all here in the room, so please don't hesitate to go and talk to them. By the way, can you wave, my team? Hello. All these guys who wrote the issues note are all hidden somewhere in the room, so please don't hesitate to mingle and ask them questions. So in conclusion, this is going to be a very exciting ride. I'm very much looking forward to hearing the experiences and insights that you will share with us. To close, let me thank our three partners in crime who have made this roundtable possible. So first of all, the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport of Korea, who is our co-host, as well as UN Habitat and the German Federal Ministry for Housing, Urban Development and Buildings, who will moderate some sessions with us. Thank you very much. And with that, it is my great pleasure to invite all of them to say a few opening words of their own. So I'll start with the Korean Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport, who is represented here by the Director of the Urban Economy Division, Mr. Jongbin Yoon. The floor is yours.
Good morning, distinguished participants. I'm Jongbin Yoon. I'm the Director of the Urban Economy Division at the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport of the Republic of Korea. First of all, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to Soo-Jin Kim, Deputy Head of the OECD, and all OECD officials for organizing today's roundtable. I would also like to thank UN Habitat and the German Federal Ministry of Housing, Urban Development and Building for their kind support. I'm also deeply grateful to all the distinguished experts from around the world for joining us today. Since its launch in 2019, the OECD Smart City Roundtable has became an important platform for sharing ideas on sustainable urban development. Starting with inclusive growth, the Roundtable has explored key topics such as carbon neutrality, performance indicators, and technology diffusion. Today, AI has become one of the most significant global issues. With the rapid rise of generative AI, we are witnessing how it is transforming every aspect of our lives, and cities are undergoing its transformation as well. Smart city technologies are evolving with AI, which will soon play a central role in analyzing urban data and offering innovative solutions to complex urban challenges. To respond to these changes, the Korean government has adopted AI-based smart cities, or AI cities, as one of its key national initiatives. We plan to apply AI across urban sectors, including transportation, energy, environment, administration, and safety, and to establish test beds to demonstrate and refine these applications. In this context, today's topic, AI for advancing smart cities, is both timely and meaningful. I hope our discussions today will help shape the future direction of AI-driven smart cities and also explore ways to ensure ethical, trustworthy, and human-centered AI governance. Once again, I sincerely congratulate all of you on the successful convening of the 5th OECD Smart City Roundtable. I look forward to this meeting continuing to serve as a global platform for innovation and collaboration in urban development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Yoon, for your opening remarks and for the very important support from the Korean Ministry to this OECD Roundtable since the start. Now I am pleased to also introduce the two organizations that have co-organized some sessions of this roundtable. So I'll start with UN Habitat with Mr. David Aubry, who is the chief of the EU office. Over to you.
Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, it's a pleasure to join you today at the 5th OECD Roundtable on Smart Cities and Inclusive Growth. I want to thank OECD and the Ministry of Lands, Infrastructure and Transport of Korea, as well as the Federal Ministry of Housing, Urban Development and Building of Germany for convening this timely discussion on the role of artificial intelligence in advancing smart cities. UN Habitat promotes socially and environmentally sustainable towns and cities. And as we enter into our new cycle, our new strategic plan for 2026 to 29, we are sharpening our focus on housing, land, and basic services as essential enablers of sustainable cities and communities. Innovation and digital technology is a key means of implementing our strategic plan, harnessing digital technology as a powerful and necessary enabler to improve access to adequate housing for all and services and better living conditions has never been more important and urgent as we live through a global housing crisis affecting almost 3 billion people. Today, over 1 billion people live in informal settlements without tenure security, basic services, or adequate housing. If we're serious about harnessing AI for inclusive growth, we must ensure that its benefits reach these communities. AI can support governments and city leaders to better understand the scale and dynamics of informality, design evidence-based policies and strategic investments where they're most needed. As an example, our innovation unit and our United Nations Innovation Technology Accelerator, UNITAC, has developed the Building and Establishment Automated Mapper, BEAM, a tool that uses AI to map informal settlements with high accuracy from satellite and aerial imagery. The tool can count roofs and courtyards, addressing critical challenges of maintaining current accurate data on informal settlements. It uses machine learning to then apply the indicators and be able to measure and monitor informal settlements globally. This work has been enhanced then with work with European Space Agency and ITU and other partners. Capacity building is really at the heart of our approach. Digital literacy and institutional capacity are essential to ensure that technologies are not only well designed, but implemented and managed effectively and safely at the local level in all countries and in all cities. We must be really conscious of a digital divide, and that capacity development is so essential. So we're working closely with public officials in Brazil, Egypt, Kenya, and we're enlarging this area of our work. Lastly, I just want to also stress our commitment in reflecting also the risks those technologies can present and in supporting governments at all levels to adopt adequate measures and safeguards to ensure that AI does not exacerbate inequalities. These efforts are a part of our broader, this is part of our broader efforts, and UN Habitat's people-centered smart cities approach, which we were talking about earlier, promotes the responsive use of data and technology to strengthen urban governance, build capacity, and prevent misuse. We place strong emphasis on exploring AI for sustainable urban development while preventing algorithmic bias and safeguarding human rights. So echoing these efforts globally, we promote other platforms such as the Global Urban Data Coalition, Global Urban Observatories, and the newly launched open-ended working group on housing to ensure that global efforts are joined together towards improving quality of life for all. We have just want to announce the coming World Urban Forum in Baku next May, and invite people to this, where we can further elaborate this conversation globally on the use of smart cities and AI to advance adequate housing for all and more sustainable cities and human settlements. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Aubry. We are very pleased to work with UN Habitat on this roundtable. And finally, So I promise this is not AI generated. It really comes from a human being called Ms. Vera Musmaya. She's the head of the Directorate for Spatial Planning and Regional Policy in the German Federal Ministry for Housing, Urban Development and Buildings. So let's hear from Vera.
Dear Deputy Director Nadim Ahmad, dear Deputy Head of our Partnering Division, Cities, Urban Policies and Sustainable Development, Mrs. Soo-Jin Kim. Dear Director Yoon of MOLIT, which we have established exchanges with as well. Dear esteemed speakers, dear attendants from all over the world. I'm honored to also welcome you today to this exciting roundtable on smart cities organized by our partners and friends at the Center for Entrepreneurship, SMEs, Regions and Cities at OECD. All the OECD roundtables last year, the French village Saint-Port decided through a referendum to restrict smartphone use in public was vividly discussed. Initially, this seemed like quite a transitional and tech pessimist stance to me. It is noteworthy though, because it was linked to the ultimate ambition for screenless cities, achieved not through pushing bad technology, but making use of its latest possibilities, notably AI. A similar chord was struck by Telekom, the German telecommunications company, which proclaimed to be delivering the world's first smartphone without apps this year, again thanks to AI. The reason I'm bringing up these two is because it illustrates the scope which needs to be discussed when integrating AI in our lives and cities today. As we just started at the beginning of the month during the Smart City Convention in Berlin, the exchange between France and Germany on AI in urban development has many potentials to offer, even for other countries to join. International exchange for urban AI can yield a lot. With today's lineup of sessions and wonderful speakers, I'm very confident that we can build a strong network of like-minded experts and decision makers to make best use of the possibilities of AI in urban development rather sooner than later. But there's also the other side, and it links to the examples I mentioned. How we use proactively the possibilities of AI for a paradigmatic change, maybe for outright reshaping the way we feel and live in our cities. I think this reflective perspective, for which Europe is famous today and sometimes a bit notorious, can be an asset for that. My message and the message of the ministry is twofold. Yes, we need catching up in the AI race through European efforts and international cooperations, and there's already a lot being done for that. But we also need to introduce our very own creativity and sovereignty, needs-based approaches to using AI for integrated, sustainable urban development. France and Germany, together with its international partners, can do both. It is crucial that we make pioneering solutions developed in funded communities available to all others throughout the country. One way of diffusion and scaling is to make use of the public money, public code commitment that we have in common. In my ministry's funding program for model projects Smart Cities, we have several projects for AI use in urban development that will be open sourced soon. And I'm sure that many of these are very keen on collaborating with neighbors in France and cities worldwide to continue developing, maintaining, and replicating. Multilateral exchange can also help making training sets for AI models mutually available with trustful sharing from our institutions. All in all, engaging in international exchanges on AI in urban development shall bring us three core benefits. One, it shall be informative. I hope you can learn quite some new things about how AI is already being used in urban development and governance as well. We have many great examples already. Two, it shall be a special and targeted new networking opportunity. We will create new links between different stakeholder groups and projects. Make use of the break for that, of the time just after the event. Third, and lastly, it shall make conceptual progress. Through the working sessions, here you can achieve curiosity and participation is highly appreciated. Future initiatives and international exchanges can build on the input we generate here today. Our International Smart Cities Network is also involved in today's roundtable, so I invite you to stay connected with it and continue the exchange. Together with OECD, we can make a difference, and we will. I wish you all an inspiring fifth roundtable and fruitful discussions throughout the day and for our common exchange to come. Thank you very much. Thank you and merci.
So thank you very much to Germany and also to the German Development Cooperation Agency, GIZ, for helping us organize this roundtable. So before we move to the first session, I'll just recall a few practical points before we dive in. The first is that during the Q&A period, if you wish to take the floor, please raise your nameplate in a vertical position like this and preferably towards the moderator so that we can try to read your name and give you the floor. A second point is that today's meeting is recorded and the replay will be made available on our website over the next couple of days. So if you miss part of it, don't worry about it. Then you will see a few other housekeeping rules on screen here. The most important is please don't put your laptop or device right in front of your microphone because it kind of blocks the sound. And for those of you, but I think we are good here, there is also a listening room prepared in the auditorium, just in case some of you prefer to sit there. So we have 4 sessions ahead of us with a lunch break planned around 12:45 if we're all very disciplined. And we should be done around 6 p.m. this evening, after which we would love to see all of you at the networking moment that we have prepared for the end of the day. So with this, I'll now shut up and hand over to Peter Zeiler, who is head of project at the International Smart Cities Network of the German Agency for International Cooperation, GIZ. And Peter will moderate our first session of the day. So Peter, over to you.
Thank you and good morning from my side. So let's start with our first session. In this session, we will explore how cities are currently using artificial intelligence in areas such as mobility, planning, public services, and sustainability. We will discuss the real opportunities artificial intelligence offers, the barriers to wider adoption, like technical, organizational, or social, and how these trends fit within broader smart city strategies and inclusive growth agendas. However, AI adoption remains uneven across cities. We will also look into this, and those with greater resources and advanced infrastructure are piloting cutting-edge AI projects. Less resourced cities often rely on simplified versions delivered through cloud-based services. Despite these differences, cities face common barriers, including funding limitations, skills shortages, outdated infrastructure, weak data governance, and public skepticism. In this session, we will focus on 3 key questions. First, what is the current state of AI adoption in cities of different contexts, sizes, and capabilities? Second, how can local governments align AI initiatives with broader smart city goals and sustainability targets? And thirdly, what strategies have proven most effective for cities seeking to scale AI across different municipal departments and services? To delve into these questions, we'll have 2 rounds of discussion with our panelists. But prior to our panel, we will have 1 intervention to set the scene. So first, I invite Mr. Vilas Dar, president of the Patrick J. Govern Foundation, for scene-setting input about the use of AI in cities. He is a leading global expert on the future of AI and its role in shaping society. So his goal, what drives him, is innovation serves the public good. So his interest is in the intersection of the technology, governance, and human aspiration. Mr. Dar, it's a pleasure to welcome you, and the floor is yours.
Good morning, and thank you for that very warm welcome. I'm always delighted to be here at the OECD and particularly support important work like this, and for the partnership of Korea and Germany. I've had some time recently in Seoul with the mayor there and with a number of cities across Germany. I see them as leaders in this space. We come together to really think about a fundamentally important question, not one that's merely as broad as how AI will transform human society, but how it will transform the core institutions that support the lives of most people on the planet. And if you'll indulge me in a moment of poetic license, I was reflecting on the fact that most cities, like most institutions, I believe, are built twice. First, they're built in the form of imagination, where we look upon kind of empty space and envision what it might look like to build a place where people can convene, where they can work, where they can live, where they can find dignity. It's an imagination that's grounded first in values, in a sense of dignity and an aspiration to what we can build. And then it's built yet again, raised to the ground and risen instead in infrastructure, in the very tactical choices we make about how we begin to develop the fundamental connection points of what a modern city becomes. I bring you that poetic imagery as we begin to think about how AI is transforming some of the fundamental functions and forms of what cities do. In many conversations, I hear, very importantly, the latter, the tactical, the how do we use AI to improve efficiency, to change the ways we make tactical decisions about how people are served. And yet it strikes me that millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people today and into the next few years will wake to find that fundamental decisions about their lives, about access to basic resources like water and electricity, about the transportation mechanisms they live in, about how sewage and waste management works, are being made increasingly by algorithmic systems that operate outside of the general spaces of democratic process, that are often invisible, that often come with a lot of promise, but also with challenge. And so as we begin today's discussion, I want to invite this group in particular to step slightly back from the efficiencies of AI and to ground ourselves back in the imagination of what's possible. In order to do that, I'd love to share just a few framing thoughts with you as I kind of travel around the world and work with frontline communities, with mayors, with governors, with heads of state, to envision what it means to take the intersection of some of the most powerful tools and creative aspirations humanity's ever created and apply it to the most important sources and centers of dignity. So a few thoughts. First, I'd love to start with this idea that we are here convened to talk about three questions in this session. Where does AI stand? How do we ensure that it has the same ambitions, if you will, that once guided public works? And what will it take for cities not just to adopt AI, but to govern it with confidence, to think of it as a way to support human welfare at scale? And what I would say to you is, it strikes me that the future of AI is not a question of technology readiness, but a question of civic readiness. Do we have the civic institutions that are ready, that are necessary and are responsive, not merely to the decision of whether to adopt or not, but to understand how those decisions fundamentally and deeply affect the questions of how we build a good society? I'll give you an example. I spent nearly 2 decades living in Boston in the United States, a city that has tangled with questions of civic infrastructure for nearly its entire history of several hundred years. But many of you may be familiar with something called the Big Dig. I'll give you not very much historical context, but only to frame us in this conversation, a set of choices. Choices that were made in the 1950s and 60s about civic infrastructure in that city, and particularly around transport. And one key decision, which was to site a major highway that essentially went directly through the middle of the city. This was a very common function of civic design and urban design in that era, was to prioritize car-based transport over all else. And for those of you who are familiar with the story, I see some smiles already in the room. That decision had far-ranging and meaningful consequences. It meant that on one side of that massive multi-lane highway that bisected the city, you had neighborhoods that flourished because of their direct connectivity to City Hall, to all kinds of neighborhoods of commerce and business. We saw the creation of an entire downtown district that grew to become one of the great academic and commercial centers of the United States. On the other side of that highway, we saw almost exactly the other phenomenon. Neighborhoods that were disconnected from both the centers of influence and power, but also the centers of daily commerce. Neighborhoods that struggled, that built their own culture, but also became the site of increasing criminality, of low access to civic resources and services. I tell you the story not to talk about the decisions of the 1950s, but to instead talk about what to me is not just a choice of efficiency, but a moral choice, a massive public works campaign that took that highway, buried it under the city, created a new green space on top of it, and revitalized the city. Okay, I'm not here to talk about urban infrastructure, and this group is here to talk about AI. So stay with me and let's take that example reduced down to its bare essentials as useful for the conversation. Why do I share this with you? Well, as cities race to digitize, as they race to take decisions about civic infrastructure that have been made, that have, by virtue of the values that went into those decisions, created unforeseen consequences. Parts of city demographics that have unequally positive access, that have better education systems, that have better access to sewage management, to water, to electricity, and parts of cities that don't. The question that arises for me is, if we begin to think about how we build new AI-driven systems that increase efficiency, one gating factor in that decision has to be, are we merely trying to make the existing systems with their consequences more effective? Or do we have an opportunity to take a step back and ask the question instead, if this is a moment potentially not just of optimization, but of redesign, what have we learned from the systems we put in place that force us to ask critical but powerful questions about how we might change the fundamental values that design these systems to begin with? I'd say that if we were to begin to think of this as a next round of public works, this might be a conversation not just about concrete, but about conscience. So in that context, I think two things that I would share with you as being top of mind for me. The first is, if this is a conversation about how we create intelligence in our cities and the ways that we define and decide them, the first choice that city decision makers have to make is, do we invest in building intelligence through the lived experience of our communities? Or do we do what we've often done with digitalization, which is merely buy intelligence or attempt to buy it from vendors? We've seen what happens sometimes when we bring vendors in without that architecture of decision-making within cities. The classic example that I think of in the United States is the privatization of parking meters. Something that might feel quite small in its consequences, and yet in many ways fundamentally changed the trust that citizens had with their city governments when they realized that this very kind of minor part of the day-to-day life in cities became increasingly inconvenient, became increasingly driven by profit-seeking behavior rather than better distribution of resources, and became increasingly invisible in terms of how decisions were being made. So AI presents a compelling case to say, we could find vendors that will increase efficiency in our services by giving us fully formed solutions. Maybe a fragmented set of vendors that give us a different solution for every problem we face. One of the exhortations I will give you is, if we go back to imagination, how would we build a public infrastructure for decision-making around AI, where the core functions of data gathering, of analysis, of bias detection, of algorithmic representation was held at the decision-making capacity of cities, and vendors were asked to build into that structure rather than merely offering one-off solutions? How would we begin to build an infrastructure for AI at urban scale? And the second I might offer you is a question about how we would define the priorities that would direct that creation of a system, whether that comes entirely from elected officials and their technical capacity building, or whether it requires for us a new form of democratic participation, both from citizens and from an increasingly robust network of cities that could work together to share best practices, to identify what's worked and what's failed, to ensure that there's a space for that civic discourse that sits outside of the profit-seeking behavior of the market and allows us to invest in the democratic principles that let us build this at scale. So I'll close by bringing all this together. I mean, I have shared with you already that I think scaling AI never really is a conversation about technology. It's not about expanding automation. It's not even about the promise and aspiration that we might be able to drastically increase service delivery. Instead, it has to be about building the shared institutions that can understand, that can interpret, and that can make decisions about how the implementation of technology goes back to the core purpose of cities to begin with. To understand that between new forms of chief data officers and algorithmic libraries, of best practices sharing, and of creating really significant and tangible wins for our citizens, this is really, first of all, the work of the infrastructure of a new form of civic intelligence, of how we actually begin to imagine how we might govern the city of the future, hopefully before we begin to build the infrastructure that entrenches it. So with that, thank you very much for the space. I'm really excited for the conversation ahead. I'm delighted to be with you all.
Thank you, Mr. Dar, and thank you for this overview. So now it's working. Thank you again. And for this intense overview in this very short amount of time. So I guess you supercharge us with ideas to discuss today, which brings me to the first question. Is there any question or comment the audience might have for Mr. Dar? Then your chance is now. Okay, I do not see that. So let's continue. And I have the honor to introduce today's panel, this first session. So to my left, it is the mayor of Sendai, Kazuko Kori. Then also to almost all of them are to my left now, it's Robert Thoman. He's the CEO of the Smart City Mannheim. We also have Aino Maja Vaskelainen, program manager of the EU project AI for Citizens, representing the city of Tampere. Then to my right, it is Gudrun Schwarz, senior policy officer of the division Smart Cities and Regions from the German Federal Ministry of Housing, Urban Development and Building. Next to her, we have Dong-Ha Lee, deputy director of the Urban Economic Division, the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport of the Republic of Korea. And last but not least, to my left again, we have Estefania Tapias, head of Smart and Digital at WSP Middle East. So I may remind the speakers that for our questions, each has 3 minutes to answer before we move on to the next panelist and then do a second round of questions. But before I invite our first panelist, a short announcement to the headsets provided. Interpretation channels will be for English and Chinese for the mayor of Sendai to answer the first question, which is: the city of Sendai has been piloting several AI-related initiatives in recent years, such as generative AI in municipal operations, AI-driven urban data visualizations, and bullseye tech for disaster resilience. Could you please tell us about the most relevant AI projects implemented in the city and how they contribute to social development? Thank you.
はい。仙台市の郡でございます。風邪をひいておりまして、こんな声で申し訳ありません。お許しください。仙台ではですね、地元の国立大学である東北大学や80社のを超える民間企業の皆様方と一緒に、仙台市東北大学スマートフロンティア協議会を設立いたしまして、産学官連携により、さまざまな地域課題の解決を進めております。スライドの右側にこれまで取り組んだ事例の一例を記載しています。ドローンの実証では、2011年3月11日の東日本大震災の教訓を踏まえまして、津波警報の発表とともに、全自動でドローンが離陸、ごめんなさい。2022年から本格運用を開始いたしました。自動運行のドローンによって津波避難広報を行うこと、それからまた専用の切れてしまいますね。LTE 通信網でドローンの制御などを行うこと、この2点において世界初の取り組みでございます。また、オンライン診療の実装で医師不足が深刻なエリアでも持続可能な医療提供体制の確保に、努めています。医療通信機器を搭載した診療カーと看護師を派遣することで質の高い医師、患者、双方の安心安全なモデルを構築しているところです。これ以外にも AI を活用した事業を進めておりまして、本日はその取り組みについていくつかご紹介いたします。次のページをお願いいたします。一つ目ですけれども、自動運転バス事業です。人口減少や高齢化などにより、路線バスの運転士不足が深刻になっています。そのバスの減便なども生じているところでして、この課題解決に向けまして、自動運転バスに乗客を乗せ、住宅地や観光地を走ることを検証しています。特に城跡や公園などの観光資源が集まるエリアでは、仙台市を訪れる観光客の利用も期待されておりまして、導入に向けて実際に城が建っていた標高およそ130メートルまで乗客を乗せて、運行実証を2024年に行いました。でこのコースは大変難しいコースでして、自動運転の性質上、急勾配 における車両制御も行いながら、15度の急勾配や急カーブが続く道を運行するという非常に先進的な実証です。山間部が多い東北、日本における取り組みをリードする内容です。今後も冬季の凍結路面や山間部の奥深くなど、市内のさまざまなエリアで導入に向けた検証を進めていきます。次のスライドです。AI 搭載の4足歩行のロボット事業です。日本では少子高齢化などによる労働力不足が大きな課題でして、特に建設業や農業といった分野では、業務の省力化が必要不可欠になっています。このため仙台市では、工事現場における監視業務の省力化を進めるために、現在、建て替え工事を進めている仙台市役所の建設現場をフィールドに、画像解析 AI を搭載した4足歩行ロボットによる自動の監視を実施しております。これまでの工事現場の監視業務では、設置された固定カメラから監視室に送られた映像を人が目視で確認をして、煙の発生ですとか、侵入者などの異常を把握していました。この取り組みでは、ロボットに画像解析 AI を搭載することで、異常が発生した際に、現場でロボットが異常を検出し、直ちに監視室へアラートと映像を送ります。このため、映像から人が目視で異常を確認するという作業が省力化されることから、労働力不足にも大きく貢献できるほか、緊急性が求められる現場で即時の対応が可能となるために、安全性の向上にもつながっています。今後、鳥獣被害対策など他の分野でも展開を図ってまいりたいと思っています。以上でございます。
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for these insights in your city. Now let's turn to our second panelist, Robert Thomann. He's, as mentioned before, the CEO of Smart City Mannheim. So Mannheim is part of Germany's model project Smart Cities. It has piloted projects like autonomous cleaning robots and smart environmental sensing through the Smart Routes program. What is the state of implementation of these projects, and what have been the biggest opportunities and challenges in using AI in public spaces in terms of safety, sustainability, and citizen trust?
Oh, thank you again. Please, next slide. In Mannheim, we're working on a smart city project called Smart Routes. It was funded by the German government under the program of Model Cities for Smart Cities. In Mannheim, we concentrate on 3 different main topics. It's about climate and climate change, mobility, and resources and energy, respectively. In all these fields, we use AI to improve what we are doing. Next slide, please. In the microclimate model we are implementing, we are concentrating of how we can improve the model or the system for climate change in our city. So we build up an AI program and an AI for modeling the microclimate system in the city. We put in 600 measuring locations we already established in Mannheim. We put in the overall weather condition and the 3D model of the city. We did a simulation under different weather conditions, and we end up with a lot of data. We put this data into our AI, and this allows us to use this AI model, to use this microclimate system within seconds. Normally this is done, the microclimate simulation is done for weeks, it takes 3 weeks. But when you have upbuilt this system, we end up with a system which works within seconds. And we have an accuracy now, which is quite good. And we have a resolution of 5 by 5 meters, which you might come up and think, oh, how do you really need 5 by 5 meters microclimate simulation? This could be obvious when you see how we use it. We use it to see the effects of trees, for example, of building up different buildings within the city. And this is more approximately the size of 5 by 5 meters. So when we use it either by changing the input parameters like the temperatures, so we can simulate what will happen in 10, 20, 40 years, for example, in Mannheim, and in a special place. On the other hand, we can change the 3D model of the city. So we can see what the effects, how we convert concrete places to green places, the effects of trees and so on. And since this is done within seconds, we really can iterate and just improve the whole city within seconds. This is where we use AI just to speed up, to accelerate our climate simulation. And moreover, in the next page, we also use, on the next slide, we use again data, put in a simulation model, and also try to be able to answer questions which is crucial for the city. For example, here we use Sumo. This is a program established, open source program established by the German agencies, aerospace system. And here we do the complete simulation of the city, simulation with agents. So we represent different kind of mobility, like cars, like bicycles, like individual cars. And so now we are so far that we can have an accuracy to 95%. So we are able to simulate traffic jams. And so we are also able to see what's happening when we block roads, when we have an accident. And so we really can see where the cars are going, because they still want to go from this point to the other point. So we use AI to adjust our model to reality. And so we can do this in real time. And so we can look into the future and get forecasts. And the biggest challenge we have here is to get reasonable good data. Definitely that's the biggest problem when it comes to AI. And the opportunity we have here, we get really deep insight what's happening in the city. It is sometimes really interesting to see what the cities is just knowing about their, or the government is just knowing what is happening in the city. And when you have a lot of data and you have a good data, which is reasonably good, we really get more insights and can improve and have an improvement in the way of sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. So what Mannheim is doing in real time now, let's travel a little bit to the north in Europe, to the south of Finland, to the city of Tampere. I know Maija Vaskelainen. She is working as I said for the AI for Citizens project. And through this project, Tampere is co-creating ethical guidelines and governance model for municipal AI. Could you brief us about what AI for Citizens is about? And what have you learned so far about the structures, skills, and partnerships cities need to govern AI responsibly while still encouraging innovation? Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Project called AI for Citizens. It's exactly what the name is. So we are developing and making AI available for all the citizens and making people empowered by the fact that it concerns all of us and we can all be aware and knowing about it. It's a European cooperation project that is led by the city of Tampere. We have altogether 7 different partners across the Europe working on these same topics together, and of course in our own city organizations. It's a very interesting and fascinating mix of so different kind of European cities, everyone having very different kind of experience and background, and especially the history of utilizing data and AI. So it goes back to anything between almost 0 years to 20 years, and that makes a big difference. So when we think about, for example, city like Amsterdam, that definitely has that longest period of history, also both with good and bad. So they've kind of like gained a wisdom that we all should be learning from, and then coming up with our own rules and decisions how we are utilizing and going to utilize AI in our own cities. And then we have the most recent learners who are still coming up to the scene of data and AI, and of course the good thing of not having that long history is then that there is no legacy either. So therefore, I think we need both these newer and older countries in that sense to really find the best, or at least the good practices, how AI can be utilized the best ways in the city organizations. Our goal in the project work is simple but very ambitious. We want to make AI truly work for the people. And with that, we mean that the AI needs to be transparent, trustworthy, and fair. We work closely with citizens, experts, and public servants, not only to create those ethical guidelines and governance models, but to build a shared understanding of AI as something that really belongs to everyone. In Tampere, both AI governance as well as the ethical guidelines is like a living playbook. It's not going to be a paper that will be finished one day, but it's like the continuous development and learning and sharing the best practices, like a dance together between development and governance. I think these days in this third wave of AI, it's more like development is leading and governance a little bit following, but definitely going together all the time. Regarding the work that we do with the citizens, the work means bringing AI discussions out of those expert circles into the everyday lives. We've had different kind of events. If I can have the next slide, please. Or maybe it'll come later, doesn't matter. We've had events with 9th graders, had a future workshops with school kids all over Tampere. We've met elderly citizens in the community colleges to talk about AI together with them. We've arranged open events for all the Tampere residents in public libraries, like dialogues, where we have the Bishop of Tampere and Doctor of Mathematics discussing about the humanity and AI together. Very, very inspiring talks. And because we want to take that type way of working and philosophy further and way to do it, next we are going to launch also a podcast that will be called As AI Belongs to Us All. What we have learned, responsible AI governance requires 3 things. Structures, new kind of structures that make ethics and transparency part of daily work and lives of the people. We need different kind of skills coming together. So not just the technical and human, but anyways, for example, those two to really understand and even challenge the AI decisions. And it's better to do and handle those questions beforehand, other than making those technical efficiency related questions first and then handle the social and societal questions afterwards. And partnerships. So I don't think there is no city smart enough that can do all this alone. So all kinds of partnerships are definitely needed. So our key insight is that responsible governance doesn't slow in innovations. It enables trust, and trust is what allows innovation to thrive. And we have started to say, at least in Tampere, that there is no smart city unless the people think it is.
Thank you very much. So now let's virtually travel again 1,500 kilometers to the south geographically and turn to Gudrun Schwarz. She is, as said, Senior Policy Officer of the Division Smart Cities and Regions in the German Federal Ministry of Housing, Urban Development and Building. So Gudrun, Germany has invested in programs like the already mentioned model project Smart Cities and also Connected Urban Twins in order to accelerate AI use in municipalities. What can you tell us about the current state of the use of AI in German municipalities, and what lessons can we draw from your experience?
Yes, thank you. In Germany, just as mentioned, we have a major funding program, about 820 million euros spent in the course of 10 years on 73 model projects in the area of smart city. And the smart city approach is getting more and more into an AI approach. And it actually relies on three major pillars. Our German smart city strategy. We have the funding program with the model project that's already been mentioned. We have, for scaling, the so-called step-by-step plan, which we came up with last year. And it's all about, we have 73 model projects, but what we want is, we want all 11,000 German municipalities in a way to participate. We want them to develop further, to get further, and that's why we came up with the step-by-step plan. It's got two main instruments. One is setting up a marketplace for smart city and AI solutions. And the other one is about a competence center, which gives municipalities and cities a chance to develop capacity, to learn about smart city, to learn about AI, and how to use it in a ethical, fair, safe, and transparent way. And the third pillar we are building our smart city strategy on is the International Smart City Network, which we're funding as well. It's mainly about international knowledge transfer. And within the International Smart City Network, next slide, please. We are cooperating with over 40 countries. And we have special formats like webinars telling about smart city solutions from all over the world, where we can learn or bring knowledge into German municipalities, and at the same time get some knowledge out of our model projects into the global context. And this is run by GIZ. If we go back to the sort of model project, next slide, please. If we go back to the model projects, the question is, what difference is there between the major smart cities, the big ones, the big players we have in Germany, and the really small ones? Our 73 model projects, they run from cities, towns, villages, from 5,000 inhabitants down to up to Berlin, which has got almost 4 million inhabitants. And how can we exchange on issues if there's such a wide array of cities participating? And what we've seen is AI has been used not just in the big cities, which come up with big visions, which I will talk later about, but also in the small villages or in the small municipalities. AI has got a major impact. Like, I can come up with two examples, which we've talked about last week. One is the city of Lemgo in North Rhine-Westphalia. For instance, it's got 40,000 inhabitants, and the city of Lemgo came up with an AI tool to improve emergency responding. Like in an emergency case, how can we act quicker? How can we get first aid ready to the scene? How can we somehow improve on the time when emergency responding is arriving into the emergency case? And they came up with a tool which was very successful, which they're using actively now, and which is going to be transferred to other cities, to other towns and communities of that size. Another example I want to come up with is about another model project we're funding. It's Linz am Rhein, which is in the middle of Germany. It's a little town of 20,000 inhabitants. And Linz has got like, they came up with the idea of mobile trees. What's the idea behind it? Linz wants to have a greener town, and the marketplace is paved. They can't plant trees because of all the utilities underneath. So what they came up is with trees in containers, and they put sensors, AI regulated sensors on the trees, which tell about irrigation, which tell about shading, the need for all of this. And they're working actively with this. And it's really made a big impact on the city of Linz. And also this one is a transferable, easy sort of low-key issue to relieve or just to have an impact in terms of greener city, greener small town. And what I want to say is the big cities, they've got major visions, like we want to step into the climate adaptation, we want to reduce mobility, we want to reduce transport and all these sort of things. The smaller ones, they're more about localized issues, they're more about practical issues, hands-on issues. and they are, in terms of transferability, most time easy to transfer. And I find that's quite a good example on how to deal with city of every size in the AI issue. Next slide, please. The next one. Yes, this is the example of our big cities. We're funding a project, Connected Urban Twins. This is all about urban twins and usage of AI in the city of Munich, Leipzig, and Hamburg. And they all follow the same approach, but they all have like different focuses within the same project. So Hamburg is working on a transparency law, and Munich and Leipzig, they're very big in using open software for municipal administration. And the whole project, it comes to an end now. Well, the funding comes to an end, but the project will go on. Hopefully, in a way, they're still working together, the three cities. These are three cities in Germany that are not lying next to each other, but they spread all over Germany. And they're working together. And that's the other scale of our funding program. How can we somehow transfer issues? How can we transfer issues all over Germany, not just over Germany, but also make it like possible worldwide to participate, to gain the knowledge and to transfer the knowledge that's been received out of these projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Gudrun. So now let's turn to one of the co-organizers of this roundtable today, Mr. Donghua Li. He is the Deputy Director of the Urban Economic Division of the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport of the Republic of Korea. So, Mr. Lee, Korea is at the front of smart city development initiatives. The central government is pushing the AI city agenda with a task force to promote applying AI broadly across transport, energy, safety, and so on. What is the state of adoption of AI across Korean cities? And as cities adopt AI for mobility, energy, and disaster resilience, what national frameworks or safeguards are being developed to ensure ethical use, privacy protection, and public trust, while still encouraging innovation?
All right, hi. I would like to share a few examples. Let me start with Seoul, the capital of Korea. Across the city, intelligent CCTVs powered by AI analyze people's faces and movements. When any unusual situation occurs, the system immediately triggers a response, kind of like calling 911. In addition, along the Han River and other waterways, an AI-based flooding warning system helps the city prepare for extreme weather and protect citizens' safety in daily life. In Busan, a major tourist city that attracts about 3 million foreigners every year, an AI-based crowded management system has been built, especially in Gangwon-ri, the most beautiful beach in Busan, and in Seomyeon, where it's overcrowded area. Using CCTVs and drones, the system monitors large gathering and helps prevent social and safety incidents in overcrowded areas. And last, in Daejeon, about 200 major intersections are equipped with various sensors and lightweight on-device AI solutions, which are not needed and required much power and huge data storage, and also something like GPUs. These systems analyze and optimize traffic flow and then detect unexpected road events and enable rapid responses, driving innovation in urban mobilities. But that's not all. But as you can see, Korean cities are already adopting AI actively in key areas such as safety and disaster response, and also transportation. Going forward, our ministry plans to expand AI applications across all aspects of urban management. through the AI city initiatives, which is part of the new national policy agenda. And then next question. As you mentioned, issues like AI ethics and personal data protection have always been major challenges in progress of adopting AI. In response, the Korean government introduced the AI ethics guidelines in 2020. These guidelines set out key principles and requirements that AI technologies should follow. However, since they were only advisory, but they lacked binding force and practical use in the field. To address these limitations, the government enacted the AI Basic Act at the end of 2024 and launched the National AI Strategic Committee in September 2025 as the central control tower for AI policy in Korea. Through this committee, Korea has released the AI Action Plan, which specifies ethical principles for an inclusive AI transformation and provides step-by-step guidelines for applying AI technologies across the urban sectors. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Director Lee. So now to end this first round, my question goes to Estefania Tapias, who is Head of Smart and Digital at WSP Middle East. So cities are evolving from smart to cognitive, using AI, digital twins, and integrated data platforms. What practical steps have you seen cities take to move beyond pilots and achieve truly adaptive AI-driven urban management, and where do you see the biggest barriers? At which state of transition from smart to cognitive cities are in general according to your work? Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mr. Seiler. Before I answer the question, I want to say thank you so much to all of the rest of the panelists, and also thank to Mr. Dar. I think you touch very important topics that I want to also highlight during my intervention just now. One being the human factor of this whole development of AI, and not only AI, but technology in general. So the question touched the concept of, or the terminology of cognitive cities, but it's just a name that has been given to a new generation of smart city. And I think we have seen all the evolution of how we want to rename the name smart city. However, it has been prevailed, so we cannot do anything about it. But it has been trying to, the idea of this change of going beyond the smart city has also been with the idea of how can we evolve from technology into the city, the citizens, and into the human, and how we can protect the humans and the citizens, which are the most important thing in our cities, right? This evolution came in that direction. We have seen different namings of smart cities like responsive cities, wise cities, cognitive cities, and so on. But the whole idea of this is really trying to evolve from this concept of only technology first to human first. And then to answer your question, AI has recently added a new way of possibilities in the smart cities. Smart cities have been dealing with technology for a long time, and cities in general have been dealing with technology a long time, and we haven't been able to understand how to balance between the development of the technology with what our citizens need and want. And AI has just accelerated the whole process even more, which can be very exciting, but can also be very challenging for all of the cities in the world. And then in the past, we have tried to put the human in the center with different methodologies. I mean, we have thought about crowdsourcing, we have thought about citizen design science, we have thought about bottom-up approaches and so on. And we have evolved, and there has been a lot of projects that have been coming up that have been very important. But now with AI, again, we need to rethink the whole methodology. We need to rethink the whole concept of how we show our citizens what we're doing with AI and how we involve the human in the whole process of the development.
And this is very important. In my team right now, I'm not going to promote the company, but in my team right now, we're really pushing this whole idea of experience design. That means that every time we do a digital strategy or digital technology strategy, we first think about what methodologies can we put in place to help the cities around the world, or right in this case in the Middle East, to use the methodologies where you can involve the citizens, the people, into the whole development of the technology. And that is, in my opinion, something very important. When it comes to what steps have cities taken for this evolution, something that is very important, and I think we saw it from the other panelists, there has been a lot of pilots that have been launched and a lot of POCs, and this is something extremely important. Before you launch a huge project, trying it out, trying to see if it works as or no. I actually was very positively surprised with the city of Tampere that they've been also educating the citizens when it comes to AI. This is something extremely important. And it's not only about launching projects, which is also very important, but also showing the citizens what the city is actually doing with AI, because I think all of us were questioning that. What are our cities doing with AI? And I think that's very important, the communication, that they understand what they have been doing. And then the other thing is strategy first. Again, not to promote any company, but it's very important to have a strategy-led development and implementation. It's not only about using the technology just for the sake of using technology, but it's also about how we strategize in the way that we use the technology in the best possible way. Then in terms of the barriers that we have been seeing or I have been seeing, one very big barrier is the integration part of it. So the cities have been already developed and put in place many technologies beyond or even before AI. But the question is, how do you integrate everything, all the advancement that the city has been done in terms of technology with the AI? And this is something that it's a big barrier because again, cities are systems of systems. We need to integrate all the different aspects of a city. And technology can be in the means, but it can also be a barrier. And this is very important that we need to understand. Another barrier is the quality of the data. We have a huge amount of data in all of our cities. There's big data, there's especially now with AI, the way that we process the data and so on. The quality in which we train our systems, our AI systems, the quality of the data, it's extremely important. And it's also a barrier if we don't use it in the right way. Then the third part is the involvement of the human, the involvement of the citizen. How do we really make sure that our citizens are being thought when we develop this technology, but also that they get also educated in which way we are using that technology, because I think transparency is very, very important. And I think that's mainly all the barriers I see. One thing that I want to highlight is that the speed in which AI is being evolving, it's a bit different speed as we have been seeing in the past with other technologies. And I think this is very key that we all have to understand this and take this into consideration. So I just want to close my thoughts with that. Speed is important. Our cities need to evolve, but we also need to step back a little bit and think, okay, how much speed do we want on this, and how much we need to rethink how we deploy this very interesting emerging technology. Thank you.
Thank you, Estefania, and also for your comments on speed and technology and what it means to keep the human, or us humans, in the center of urban development. So now, having finished the first round of questions, please let me open the second round, and short notice, you might grab your translation devices again while I'm asking the mayor of Sendai the second question. So when adopting AI, especially generative tools and real-time urban analytics, how does Sendai involve citizens, industry, academia in their development? And how does this help address concerns about privacy and transparency to ensure that these technologies remain trustworthy and inclusive as they scale across different city functions. Thank you.
はい、皆さんありがとうございます。仙台市が次にお話しするのは、農林水産業や防災、健康福祉、失礼しました。仙台市では農林水産業や防災、健康福祉などの分野における地域の既存産業と先端テクノロジーを掛け合わせることで、新しい製品やサービスを生み出すクロステックイノベーションプロジェクトというのを進めています。でこの事業は仙台が、AI やデータの活用の専門家を講師に招いて、地域企業がAI 技術をビジネスに活用するためのワークショップなどを開催するほか、地域企業が自らの抱える課題について、AI、データを活用した解決手法を専門家とともに検討することで、課題解決に向けた実践的なスキルを身につけていくものです。日本では特に農林水産業分野における後継者不足や生産性の向上など課題がございまして、今日は仙台市がこのプロジェクトにおいて農業の課題解消のために支援をした2つの事例をご紹介いたします。では次のスライドです。1つ目は画像分析 AI を活用した農業用運搬ロボットの導入です。でこちらは仙台市が財政支援を行い、東北大学発のスタートアップが開発したもので、画像分析 AI を活用し、リンゴなどの収穫作業を効率化したものです。リンゴなどの果樹の収穫は重労働でして、農家の高齢化が進み、これまで収穫期には季節労働者を雇用し、対応する必要がございました。でこの運搬ロボットは、AI による画像認識で作業を行う人を追従する機能を有していて、起伏や傾斜のある場所でも障害物を避けながら収穫場所と集荷場所を無人で往復して収穫物を運ぶことができます。このため、収穫期の人手不足をカバーできるほか、収穫効率の向上にもつながっておりまして、日本ではリンゴや梨などの果物農家でこのロボットの導入が進んでいます。この取り組みは日本に限らず、同様の課題を抱える国々の課題解消につながるもので、今年の3月にはスペインおよびポルトガルへの輸出に向けて欧州の企業と覚書を交わしています。今後このロボットが欧州でスマート農業の推進に貢献していくものと期待をしているところです。次のスライドです。レタスの生育管理 AI 化プロジェクトです。でこの事業は仙台市が市内の農業生産法人と市内の IT 企業をマッチングして、伴走型でプロジェクトを進めているものでして、今年から AI による画像解析や生育予測、これを取り入れた生産管理手法の検証を進めています。農作物の生産はこれまで農業従事者の経験や勘に頼って温度や湿度などの生育環境の調整を進めてきましたが、高齢化が進む中で若手へのノウハウの継承などが課題となっています。でこの取り組みは植物工場内に設置をいたしました AI カメラでレタスの画像を解析し、生育途中の重量を推定して、収穫時に理想的なレタスに育つよう日照、また温度を自動調整するものです。AI が分析した科学的根拠に基づくデータで生育環境を調整することで、高品質のレタスの安定的な生産が可能となります。今後は他の農産物にも応用いたしまして、農業全体の効率化を図ることで、食料自給率の向上という持続可能な社会の実現にもつながっていくのではないかと考えているところです。以上で私はおしまいです。ありがとうございます。
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Now back to Robert. Time has a strong academic ecosystem to develop trustworthy AI. How is the city working with universities and companies to move these innovations from research into practical, responsible applications that benefit its residents? What challenges has the city encountered and how have you addressed them?
Yeah, that's a big challenge, to be honest. We in Mannheim, we established our own organization, an own company to addressing all these topics. And this organization is not within the administration, but nearby. It's a joint venture between the holding organization of the city of Mannheim and the energy company headed in Mannheim, and it also mainly owned by the municipality or by the city, called MEV Energy. With this organization, with this smart city organization, we bring these innovative companies together, like startups and universities. For example, we work very closely together with the University of Mannheim, with Professor Heiner Stuppenschmidt, who is really into AI. He is really famous in this topic. But when it comes to really working with it in an administration, it's always necessary to translate it, I would say, translate it in the processes of the government. And so we as a company, we as the Smart City Mannheim Incorporation, we put all these different innovative parts together, coming from startups, coming from university, from the academic, and also from very innovative big cities, and glued them more or less together. And our glue is our digital competence. We have our own platform within this a founding project. We built our own platform, which is able to bring together AI, bring together IoT, the Internet of Things together, and work together and bring it into the processes of the city. So it's not worth doing any effort when it's not used within the government. But you have to bring it in the processes which are still working, bring it smoothly in, that it will be accepted by the administration. And what is a little bit different with also our organization, we are not only addressing with our Smart City organization, we're only addressing the digital part, but also the decarbonization part. So we built it as city organization facing two major problems within the cities, like the digitalization, which is a big challenge, and the decarbonization, meaning to be more environmental friendly, transferring from a fossil industry, transferring from a fossil usage to a renewable energy. So with our organization, we also built PV systems on buildings of the government. We also building wind parks and so on. And these things together, digitalization and decarbonization, is going to be, at least for me, the main key to be successful with also all these activities with smart cities.
Thank you, Robert. Aino, the second question to you. AI for Citizens aims to build ethical, inclusive AI governance areas across diverse communities in Tampere. What have been the biggest challenges so far? For example, balancing technical complexity with public understanding, engaging different citizen groups, or aligning with the EU AI Act? And how are you addressing them? What lessons could be learned from your experience for other cities?
One big challenge definitely is the complexity gap. So making AI understandable and meaningful for everyone. And it goes for everyone. So even among the people who are working inside the AI field, it's a very different thing if you talk with a data scientist that has been there for 20, 30 years working with all kinds of artificial intelligence related topics, other than someone who has dig into the most recent Gen AI tools for the past 2-3 years. And then there are people like me who have any kind of like technical background, but I'm looking at AI more from people's and like a phenomena perspective. So I think every time we are having a discussion of AI, we should be kind of like asking a question, and by defining that, what is it when we are talking about AI? It can mean so many different things for all of us. People in general feel AI that is something that is very distant or too technical. So our approach in Tampere and with citizens especially has been to turn AI into conversations instead of lectures. so to say. So when we are talking with citizens, we don't start with the tools, algorithms, and that kind of things. We want to talk about their future. What are their expectations? What are their wishes, dreams, fears, and so on? And maybe as a secondary or later thing, we can discuss that is there something that AI can do to help to build those dreams. So yeah, the second challenge is building the confidence inside the city organization itself. Civil servants are just like any people, just like me and everyone else. So we are also hesitating with AI-related topics, what's going to happen, how the work is going to be changing, and so on. So everyone's kind of like trying to find their way in this fast-changing environment. So both with public servants and citizens, we really need to focus on AI literacy. And with AI literacy, I mean all the aspects of it. So EU AI Act is excellent framework for this work. It's kind of like steering the work and setting the baseline, but at least in Tampere, we want to go like well beyond. So focus, or for us, AI literacy is not just covering the bare minimum with those AI tool related topics and know-hows, but more like critical thinking, data literacy, all kinds of literacies. And that's why also our kind of like symbol in the project that could be seen in the pictures is actually a traditional bookmark. And that is also like representing AI literacy as well. And yeah, after all, AI is about data and people. So the key lessons would be that you cannot wait for any perfect papers and answers to be ready. We need to start working with people, asking questions from them and listening their wishes and fears. So establishing and keeping up the dialogues is very important thing. And yeah, I mentioned the complexity gaps, but recently I've been also wondering that are there gaps between the visions, because I'm bringing with me greetings from a 95 high schoolers from high school in Pirkkala, which is a small municipality nearby Tampere. There is a schoolwork where a group of 4 students were arranging this kind of like questionnaire and interview for their schoolmates. And the biggest question in that was that what kind of city they would like to live in 30 years from now. And there were some other questions which included AI as well. So you would think that as an answer, you will get back some thoughts about AI as well. But their vision was full of humanity, safety, nature, and fairness. Students want a green, welcoming, and functional city where AI supports people, not replacing them. And that's their vision of the future smart city. And now I'm thinking that is there like a vision gap between all these visions that we see with virtual realities and everyone wearing VR glasses on the streets and so on. So that is a question that remains open.
Thank you. It really does. So, Gudrun, as I just said, AI is about data and people. Germany has a strong culture of data protection and public trust. How is the federal government ensuring that ethical and privacy frameworks keep pace with AI in smart cities while still leaving room for innovation and practical deployment?
Yeah, that's really a crucial question. All across over Germany, the municipalities are using more and more AI. It's becoming much more common, and AI is shaping everyday city life more and more so. And algorithms are going to be used more and more in public administration. And that raises, of course, the question, who is ensuring that these sort of systems are acting in the public interest? Who is ensuring that the system follow the rules, but mainly work in favor of the public? And our only answer can be and this is strong regulation. And this is not to slow things down, but this is basically to make sure that the usage of AI is going to happen, that the systems are working in a safe, in a transparent, and in a fair way. Basically, municipalities are where AI becomes real. They use the tools, they buy the tools, they interact with the citizen, and the federal level comes in when it's all about safeguarding. The EU AI Act has already been mentioned, is a solid foundation also for us. And we're building upon that. We've got the GDPR in Germany, and we've got a national data ethics commission that is working in the same field. But it's still a lot that remains open. Like if you look at the speed of the technological development, of the evolving of technological solutions, it's very, very difficult to keep pace with the regulation. We're trying to set up rules, but I have to be honest, it is difficult to keep up with the pace. But then again, if we take regulation serious, I mean, this is the only way that digital transformation goes hand in hand with the evolvement of democracy, and it's very important. So we're trying to keep pace so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Gudrun. So now let's look east to Molit and Deputy Director Lee. Many Korean cities are piloting AI in traffic, energy, and safety, but scaling beyond test beds like in Sejong and Busan remains difficult. From your perspective, what key factors such as data sharing, funding models, or staff skills are needed to move from pilot projects to full citywide AI adoption? And how is the national government helping local governments align their AI projects with broader sustainable development targets, for example, through funding, data standards, or regulatory sandboxes?
To expand AI across the entire cities, it is essential to create an environment where AI can truly work. The key lies in offering data freely and making a sustainable business structure. First, for AI to function properly at the city level, with close to the citizens, we need enough reliable training data. And of course, users must be able to access and use it freely. To achieve this, we should build an open and flexible data sharing framework that allows both the public and the private sectors to use data safely and without barriers. Second, we need a sustainable business model, moving from building AI infrastructure to developing and applying practical solutions requires a substantial investment. That's why it is crucial for central and local governments, and together with private companies to work together through joint investment. Such a structure ensures stability and long-term sustainability. When this foundation is in place, citizens will be able to experience and benefit from AI throughout the entire city. In the end, the AI transformation of cities can only happen when data systems, institutional frameworks, and all key actors work together. And above all, when these when these changes earn public trust and we are accepted by society. And the next answer, the Korean government has continuously worked to ensure that national strategies and the local AI or smart city projects move into same direction. We have promoted the standardizations and the interconnection of urban data by expanding the smart city integrated platform and the national data hub. Through various smart city projects, we have also provided financial support that allows each each city to design and test the solutions suited to each local context. In addition, regulatory sandboxes have created a flexible environment where new technologies can be tested without institutional barriers, giving local government more room to experiment in the field. Building on these experiences, we are now strengthening practical support so that the central and the local government can advance AI projects together in the same direction. First, we have presented a national long-term vision, the first comprehensive smart city plan established in 2024. Identifies AI transformation and database innovation as key principles. It helps both the center and the local government work within a shared policy framework and move toward the same long-term goals. Second, we are providing joint funding between the center and the local government. This approach helps cities design AI-based urban services, test them, and then later operate them on their own in a sustainable way. Third, we are promoting regulatory innovation through pilot testing. Our ministry manages the regulatory sandbox system, allowing new technologies, including urban AI tech, to be tested freely. Based on the results, we connect these pilots to regulatory reform, policy updates, and business adoption support, so that innovation can lead to real institutional and industrial change. So these policies, Korea's smart city and AI initiatives are evolving in a way that respect local diversity while staying aligned with national sustainable development goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Director Lee. Finally, I turn to Estefania again. Based on your professional experience, how do you advise cities to balance the push for advanced analytics in real-time decision-making with ethical use, privacy protection, and public trust, especially when scaling AI across multiple city functions?
Thank you so much for your question. And before I answer, balance is such a key word and it's so important. And I think the panelists also mentioned that it's very important to have balance when it comes to AI. And for me, it's three things. The first one is strategy first, before you even think about deploying any advanced technology like AI. There needs to be some type of strategy put in place, thought through with methodologies that help you try to understand how to implement and deploy these systems. Second, it's talking about the methodology. So using methodologies that involves the people, firstly. For example, I mentioned before experience design, but it could also be citizen design science, could be any other type of participation. That's very key. And the third one is the integration with other systems. Also, well, first of all, understanding that, again, a city is a system of systems. So integration is key, but not only integration with all the different systems of the city, but also the technology that has been put in place from the beginning. And this is very important, the integration part of it. Thinking through not only integrating the technology, but also integrating what actually the city does for the citizens, what all the different services, and how can AI be used to advance this in a very responsible way. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Estefania. So I do think we got quite some insights today in these first two rounds of questions in this first session. So now I do see a question, or a colleague that wants to ask a question. Please introduce yourself and whom the question is intended to, and of course the question as well.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Karin Brazova from the Czech Republic Ministry of Regional Development.
where I lead the urban policy unit, and also we implement national smart city concept. Thank you for these super inspiring examples. And I was particularly struck by Mannheim's microclimate modeling and Tampere's ethical playbook. And my question is, from a national policymaker perspective, I wonder how we can make sure that such advanced AI-based tools and approaches become accessible also to smaller and medium-sized cities, like so many in Central Europe. So what models of intercity collaboration or shared AI infrastructure have, from your experience, proven effective in overcoming this limited local capacity and data availability? And I don't have any particular panelists in mind, so maybe whomever would feel well to answer this question concerning the sharing among the smaller cities with limited capacities. Thank you.
Thank you for a very interesting question. Yeah, this is the main topic or the main challenges, just to bring also the solutions we developed also to other cities all over Germany, but all over Europe as well, or the whole world. And we, as I just told you, that we are an organization also having a huge energy company as a part of it. So this is one way. There are a lot of different ways, but there's one way to be able not to only work on your own city, but to bring the solutions you developed also to the other cities. This is one thing that you have worked together with a company able to not only work in one city, but able to work all over the world. But I think when I look over to you, you already told us that this is one main part also of the program, which is currently going on in Germany, that it's not only what we do. We have heard that we have 73 model cities in Germany, but this is going to be spread all over the other cities in Germany as well. And with the help of you and GIZ and the international program we heard, we also want to transfer what we established also the other cities. And again of it, it's all open source what we're doing. When you go to opencode.de, you will find everything we're doing available.
Probably I can just come with a little remark on that one. I've just mentioned that we're thinking about smaller communities as well. We have small towns on this in our program. We have larger villages in our program, and we have like intercommunal municipalities, communities that work together. And what is crucial is that the solutions we gain from the project, that they are like scaled all over. And we're coming up with the idea of a marketplace. We have like 700 measures or ways of implementing smart city issues at the moment, and quite a few of them are AI related. And they are open for everybody. They're all open source. That's a second point. And they can be adapted easily from any sort of municipality. What we need is like a common marketplace where like solutions are basically dealt with in a wider scale, and we open that one in a way of scaling the results of our program all over Germany, and it's been so far quite successful.
Thank you so far. I do see 4 more questions, and with this I would then close the question list. First was the city of Ghent, then trade, and then there's 2 signs which are too small for me to read, but the one in the back would be number 3, and then the many letters would be Smart Cities Council would be number 4. So city of Ghent, please. And please, quick.
Yes, from city of Ghent, Belgium. I have a question for the municipality of Tampere. It was very interesting, your story. to hear about the story about AI for citizens. Have you been able to measure the impact of the actions on the population yet? That is my first question. And do you also reach the vulnerable groups in your city? So I think it's not so easy to reach them and to give education to AI education to them. And how do you do that to the vulnerable groups? Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I would love to do that kind of measuring, and we will be doing something at some point. I'm all up for discussions and ideas. What would be the ways to measure that kind of actions and the impact, other than count the number of people joining the events and so on. So maybe something deeper and more meaningful. We definitely would need to have like a baseline regarding AI trust or public opinion or something like that. So super important question. Regarding the different groups that we are reaching out, immigrants, for example, one group, we have like residence evenings, both in Finnish and English language, for example, but their language can be a barrier too. So it's like a constant lookout how we could find the people and where to meet them and so on. I've been thinking about this when planning this podcast, so who could be the guests for that. That's maybe something. And then, well, resources are limited, so that's another good reason to do cooperation among the OECD partners as well. But inside Finland, there is, for example, I don't know if that's the correct English word, it's maybe a diaconus foundation, where they are having like future workshops for homeless people or people with different kind of like addiction problems and so on. So I've contacted them if we could kind of like combine our forces as well. So it's work in progress, but definitely important thing to continue. Thank you.
So the next question by trade.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for different speakers. My question goes to the Korea representative. Yeah, I have worked a little bit with Korea culture government, and I know the powerful you have for the smart city. And my question is how you manage the data to protect data for the culture. Do you have a particular strategy for the catastrophe disaster, for example?
About the data sharing project. Actually, our board have many data hubs, and then use it and share local governance, and then but I just want to say about this for AI, for the AI ages, there should be a new data sharing framework. So Korean government is on our policy, our way to make a policy about AI. So I'm sorry to say it, but I will answer later. So, I will answer using email. So could you please send me a question later by email?
Thank you very much. And we also do have a coffee break afterwards if you have more questions, so to say. So there's one question in the very back, which is, I don't know, but please go ahead.
Right, thank you. Yeah, I have a question. It's really about sharing learning and best practice in transforming public service delivery in different cities and regions of varying sizes. And I just wondered if there are particular approaches that have been especially effective in maximizing the power of AI technology across the different places. I think in particular, what works best or less well in getting the message across. In the UK, the UK Local Government Association, which represents most local authorities in England, has launched an AI network, and it includes a case study bank providing practical examples of local councils of different sizes. And I just wondered if, clearly cities and regions are at different stages of AI adoption, but maybe there are some silver bullets perhaps that are proving particularly good at disseminating what may well work best in different circumstances. Thank you.
It's a great question. I think two things that are worth remembering here is that many of the practices we're talking about have to be a combination of a socio and a technical answer. The technical side, I think, is often underexplored. The idea of shared code bases of the actual technical infrastructure that allows us to build what many of the cities have spoken about, and allowing us to actually bring those in as modular components into a decision-making practice. Two things that have emerged as successful there. The first is to recognize that the infrastructure for that practice sharing sits outside of any one city, and often relying on civil society to help can be very effective there. I'll give you one example of a product called Climate Trace that is now the world's largest public database of emissionality data of where different activities lead to carbon emissions. That's a product of city governments, state governments, national governments, civil society, and private sector actors that have come together in almost a self-organizing framework to contribute data, predictive analytics, and algorithm libraries about how different decisions might lead to different climate outcomes. It ties to some of the work of Mannheim and others, where you're thinking about local weather models that might be highly specialized and localized, but can be translated also into a global context. So that's the first, is to think of building public infrastructure for knowledge sharing about these practices that sit outside of any one city level. The second is building the database, not just of case studies of success, but also case studies of failure. One of the things that I'm coming from London, where at King's College, we launched a new Center for Data Governance that tries to bring together stories of different mechanisms of dealing with data protection in civic decision-making, and understanding that even as we identify the exemplars of positive outcomes, there's plenty to be learned from where things have not gone well, and building those structures in place. I think academic centers can be quite helpful there as well.
Thank you. So the last question of this first session by the Smart Cities Council.
Thank you, Corey Gray, Smart City Council. The presentations are very interesting, focused on more, let's say, generative AI and infrastructure work. As cities, what are you doing in terms of looking at your organizational structure and agentic AI? We've seen people like Eric Carver, Palantir, talk about not having hired a human in the last 18 months into their company. It's a difficult discussion when it comes to ethics about business processes within cities and government, and the very dramatic changes that we'll see in terms of the types of skills we'll need, and in fact, the number of people we need. Are you, as cities and governments, looking within an ethical framework about what jobs won't exist anymore, and balancing the ethical and social conscience of people's need for work and employment with the immense power of agentic AI to basically remove large numbers of people from traditional jobs?
Is there anyone that wants to comment?
Maybe a few words, just my own predictions. I'm not seeing or thinking that cities like Tampere would actually make any dramatic changes like that. But of course, slowly over time, people are retiring. Maybe we are not hiring anyone to replace and so on. So yeah, there are changes. The ethical thing to do, and that concerns pretty much everyone, what is greatly missing from all the AI discussions is that we don't spend any time for talking about the new jobs that we need. So all the discussions are just what will be dying or not existing in the future. But since we are having more AI solutions, more and more data and so on, there will be a completely new kind of roles, both on the technical side, but then on the human side as well, because soon we will be start needing more and more care and that kind of things in these virtual worlds and so on. So that is a thing to do, to actually start dreaming and planning that what will be the future work looking like, that will be replacing the ones that we are doing now.
Thank you very much. Big thank you to all the panelists and experts today, not only joining, but also contributing to this global tour on AI. It's always good after having traveled to Paris. You don't need to move much to learn what's happening in the world. So for the next, now it's time for an intervention by Celine Kaira. She's economist and the division Artificial Intelligence and Emerging Digital Technologies.
Thank you so much. And I think everyone thought they were going for coffee. So my presentation first, and then we'll all get coffee. So I'll keep this very short. But really the aim, so again, my name is Selena. I'm from the division on AI and emerging digital technologies. And my aim in today's presentation is just really to be complementary to today's interventions and leaving you with some concrete tools that we have on a platform called the OECD AI Observatory as you reflect on next steps for what it means to have local AI implementation in the smart cities context. So just to set the foundation, as some of you may know, we have the OECD AI principles that were the first governmental standard on AI, created in 2019 and updated last year. And I start here because these principles, and principles have been mentioned a few times today, they've really been foundational. They include 5 values-based principles and 5 recommendations to governments. And what's really interesting about these is they've stood the test of time, and they can actually be seen and codified into legislation, national strategies, local strategies that exist today. So they've really gone from principles to practice, which is great. And so I encourage you to look to these values, look to these recommendations, and see, you know, what do they mean in the smart cities context, and how can they be transferred. I should also mention that last year we merged with an initiative called the Global Partnership on AI, the GPAI logo you see at the top. So now we have an integrated partnership at the OECD. So this expands our work on AI now to 44 countries across 6 continents. So not just OECD members, including countries like Senegal, India, and Serbia, for example. So how do we bring these principles to life? You can have the best principles in the world, but if they're not implemented in practice, they won't be very meaningful. And so to bring these to life, we have established the OECD AI Policy Observatory. It's available to you all online. We've had excellent collaboration with many partners, including the Patrick McGovern Foundation. So I see Vilas here today, who gave the excellent opening keynote. And so I'll show you 3 practical tools available on the observatory today in my short presentation. So the first is an AI policy navigator. So it's no surprise that there's been an explosion of activity when it comes to AI policy development. And so we aim to track them all. So this database currently tracks over 1,300 AI policy initiatives globally from 72 jurisdictions. To our knowledge, it's the largest government-backed and up-to-date repository of AI policies in the world. And we do have them also disaggregated at local level. So, you know, this is a treasure trove of data, if you will, if you want to see what other countries, other jurisdictions are doing and compare and pick best practices, if you will. The second tool for you today is called the AI Incidents Monitor. And so in creating this, we actually also established a definition of what an AI incident or an AI hazard is. And so this is where things go wrong or almost go wrong in AI use. And this is critical to have a common understanding of what an AI incident is, because there are jurisdictions like the EU AI Act, for example, that mandate the reporting of such incidents. So we need to make sure we're we're talking about the same thing when we're talking and reporting an AI incident. So this is a smart search tool. It's based on a methodology that uses reputable media sources, so news articles. And so I've just here chosen some keywords that relate to smart cities in the top. And so here on the right, you see the evolution of the number of AI incidents and hazards related to the keywords as a percentage of total AI incidents and hazards. And on the left, you see the number. Sorry, that's reversed. But in any case, so the 6 months moving average is about 6 incidents per month having to do with smart cities, making up about 0.04% of the total AI incidents and hazards. So I did this quickly just with the keywords selected, but it's just illustrative and interesting, and hopefully that you can be a resource for you. The text is quite small, but maybe you can see it on the bigger screen. This is what's behind that graph. So these are the news articles. And so here you see examples of all sorts of incidents related to these keywords spanning security risks, surveillance, smart cities, AI-driven license plate data to youth mental health. And so these are all available online. They're tagged also according to the type of harm and the AI principle that it relates to. My last tool I have for you today is the catalog of tools and metrics for trustworthy AI. So this is really a one-stop shop, a repository of helpful approaches, mechanisms, best practices to help AI actors develop trustworthy AI systems and applications. Here I have just searched for tools and metrics related to public services, as that's what's likely most relevant to you today. And so you can see examples including real-time flood forecasting, which has been mentioned in a few different local contexts. So those are the 3 tools, and roughly just what the OECD AI Observatory is. I've left you with a bit of a toolbox of resources for your further reflection. And I really also encourage you to look to the OECD AI principles as a foundational resource as you reflect on how they can guide the discussion on leveraging AI to bring the vision of smart cities to life in your local context as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Celine. So this leaves me to close the first session of today's roundtable, and a big thank you to everyone who contributed so far. But prior, and the magic word has already been mentioned, prior to the coffee break, we invite you for a family photo. So please follow the OECD colleagues that are guarding the doors right now, and to the staircase to the right of us, and we will reconvene at 11:20. At 11:20, we will reconvene for the second session. Thank you very much.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the coffee break. I'm David Aubrey from UN Habitat. I head our office for EU in Brussels, and looking forward to moderating this session on unlocking the potential of AI for sustainable urban development. The session will focus on how AI can accelerate climate action, environmental monitoring, and resource efficiency, while improving equity and accessibility in urban spaces. We'll examine how cities, with the support of national governments, can address potential risks, such as social inclusion, exclusion, or environmental impacts, and how AI can support this. We'll also explore further opportunities to apply AI for sustainable urban development and look at the opportunities that remain untapped. For example, AI models that integrate real-time urban data with citizen input, and how that can help drive localized climate action and improve heat resilience. So in this session, we will explore 3 main questions. The first is, what opportunities remain untapped in AI solutions designed to enhance sustainability, inclusiveness, and quality of life? The second is, what are the main challenges that cities face when deploying AI for sustainable urban development? How can cities manage the environmental impact of AI use and ensure AI solutions engage citizens while preventing the aggravation of existing urban inequalities? And then the third is how can the most promising AI applications for sustainable urban development be scaled across cities with varying capacities and resources? So bear those questions in mind, and as we think of those questions, I'm very pleased to introduce the mayor of Dubrovnik in Croatia, Mr. Mato Frankovic, to provide an input that frames our discussion. Thank you very much. Honourable Mayor, please take the floor and share how you're using AI to support sustainable development. The floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. I would like to start the morning with a quote that was once said by the Lyndon Johnson, United States President. He stated, when the burdens of the presidency sometimes seems unusually heavy, I always remind myself it could be worse. I could be a mayor. So this is what mayors mainly face, with many challenges, and of course citizens that are always criticizing what should be and can be done differently. The smart city Dubrovnik, the smart destination, we as the city implemented many different tools in order to achieve full sustainability. Because Dubrovnik back in 2017 was recognized as one of the cities that was affected with the over-tourism, and it had negative image of the city. The quality of life was derogated and the actions had to be taken. So due to that, we implemented many different tools that have two main roles. The first one is to improve the quality of the life. The second one is to improve or give higher the quality of provided service to all of those that are visiting our city. Thanks to the different tools that we implemented, we received the Triple National Champions Award in the application of smart city solutions. So Dubrovnik is developing a sustainable direction using modern digital technologies in an innovative and creative economy, efficient infrastructure, urban mobility, and responsible tourism. Both the residents and tourists are benefiting from those applications, as it was previously said. So these are main tools that we as the city of Dubrovnik are using. The first one is a smart parking tool. So why smart parking? Probably majority of you face the same thing. You come in one of the cities, you want to find a parking, and then you circle around. You're seeking for the parking spot. So in the same time, you're making a traffic congestion because you're just driving around. The pollution is much higher. So therefore, we implemented the smart parking Dubrovnik. The thing that actually the application that makes your life easier, the life of tourists, the life of locals at the same time. What does it serve for? So the system displays real-time parking availability, reduces congestion and CO2 emissions, and facilitates parking payment and enforcement using NB-IoT network. And we have more than 2016 street parking spaces, not garage parking spaces, but street parking spaces on that application. So you are around the old city, you want to find a parking place, you just take the application, press guide me to the first free parking space, and it guides you over there. If there is by any chance, at some point that parking space is already taken, it redirects you immediately to another parking space. If there are no free parking space, it gives you an information that there is no free parking space and gives you an opportunity to park somewhere else, which is in closest vicinity of the area. With that, You, as the consumer, have the information. You don't drive around just, looking, is there might be going a free parking space or not. You are not part of traffic congestions, and it's a win-win for all of the people that are using the application. The second is the zone of special traffic regulation. This is something that we implemented this year in June 2025. Due to heavy occupancy of the car traffic around the old city historical site of Dubrovnik, we implemented the zone of special traffic regulation, especially to lower down the number of taxi providers. Last year, we had 9,000 taxi cars driving around the old city. And with this zone, we set the rule that there could be no more than 700 of them. Why we did all of that? The quality of life was definitely on downside. People that want to approach to the old city could do that by waiting sometimes 15, sometimes 20, sometimes minutes, sometimes even an hour. You could not time. At the same time, you have a question mark over emergency services, fire brigades, and etc. If they want to come there, they could not come. Everything is blocked. It was not an easy decision to be taken, but it was necessary one. Now, few months after this decision was delivered, we see just a win-win-win-win results. And the citizens are very satisfied. And at the same time, the tourists, they are satisfied even more because they could plan their own time and they have more time within the city walks. The Bus web shop. Sometimes this application seems, the very reasonable one. It was delivered when I was speaking back in 2017, in the days of overcrowdedness and etc. We have the area in front of the old city where all the buses from nearby destinations come. And actually over there, tourists are going to visit from that point to visit the old city. So I asked my operator at that area, we called it Pillar Gate, do you know how many buses we will have today? And he replied, no. I said, okay. Do you know how many of them did you have yesterday? He said 140. I said 140. He said, correct. Okay, day prior, 200. When you multiply that number of people that are coming from nearby destination, you know that you have one more cruise ship in your city. So this is why we implemented a Bus web shop application, which obligates to all of those that want to come to the city of Dubrovnik on a daily excursion to book in prior, to pay in prior, and at the same time to reserve a slot. Every half an hour, we are giving 7 slots. So if you do not have a slot for a certain hour that you want, you can choose some other hour. If you don't have a slot for that day, you have to choose the other day. With this, we are managing the flow. This was very, very important because our main problem was overcrowdedness within the city walls. We had too many people at the same time. And we knew that we can do it better with managing the flow, not the crowd, the flow. And with this application, we did a step forward in managing the flow. In order to recognize, are we successful or not, we had to have the figures, exact figures and numbers that are saying how that flow is organized within a day, within a week, within a month, and within a year. This is why we implemented Dubrovnik visitor counter. We have cameras inside of the old city that are counting all of the people that entered and exit at the same time. So we have exact number of the people at any point. How many people do we have in the city? This is very important for many reasons. First one, security-wise. If you have some security issues, you know exact number of the people that are in the city. Regardless, are they visitors? Are they living there? Are they working in the city? Also, I already said the flow is very important. But we created a study that showed us that 11,200 is a figure that gives the quality of service of people that are at the same time within the city walls. And this is what we measure also with our cameras. So we see, are we approaching or not to the highest peak where the quality of service could be provided. Also, one thing is important at the end of the year. We take all of these results and we go through them jointly with the University of Dubrovnik. And then we see how the flow is managed through the day, through the week, through the year. And then we make conclusions for the years to come. And this is very, very important because you have then even a scientific approach to the case study of Dubrovnik sustainability. The good thing that I can say that we, from the year 2024 to 2025, we are living now in full sustainability, considering Dubrovnik whole city. The numbers do not even go above 10,500. Really, all these applications are changing the life of the citizens of Dubrovnik and the visitors of Dubrovnik. This is another tool that serves us as a tool that we are providing for the tourists mainly that are visiting our city. So we succeed in managing the flow, but we wanted even more. We want to manage the flow in different cultural attractions of Dubrovnik. This is why we implemented a digital culture card, which we called Dubrovnik Pass. So this project includes total of 11 Dubrovnik's most important cultural attractions. And the price is unique. So for the single entrance ticket to the city walls, you buy a Dubrovnik Pass for the same price, and you have the city walls and 10 other attractions. So this is majority of people that are visiting Dubrovnik. They are choosing to buy a Dubrovnik Pass. This year, we will have around 18 million euros profit from Dubrovnik Pass. But the profit is not the crucial. What we actually wanted to deliver is a higher service. So this is after making Dubrovnik Pass. In the first phase, so the crowd prediction system has been launched, offering real-time occupancy data, and it is a web application and a website of which can be visited by any individual and see actually how many people are at certain point within the different out of 11 cultural attractions. The next phase, which is coming in 2026, will be obligation for everyone that buys the Dubrovnik Pass. You will be obligated to book a time of visiting a cultural attraction. And you will have an option to change that time for 2 times within 24 hours. Why we are implementing that? We want to provide a higher experience in any of our cultural attractions. Because to see Dubrovnik city walls, it's much different if there are many people there or if there are just enough there. So the quality of service is much higher if there are just enough. And everyone that are buying Dubrovnik Pass have opportunity with buying Dubrovnik Pass to enjoy in the attractions actually that they book for. Yeah, I could be quicker. So the security is very important in many different tourist cities. Dubrovnik is visited around by 4.7 million people during the year. And this is why with many different cameras and video surveillance, we are providing a higher security system. But at the same time, we have environmental monitoring system, which are measuring noise meters, air quality sensors, ammonia analyzer, and pH conductivity, chlorine monitoring. With all these different systems, actually, again, we are raising the quality of life, not just of the locals, but of the citizens as well. Dubrovnik I, back in the time of Dubrovnik rich history, when Dubrovnik was republic, the biggest spy network that Dubrovnik Republic rely on were its own citizens. They were the biggest spies. They reported everything to Dubrovnik officials. So we implemented the same system, but in modern times, Dubrovnik I. This is a system where our own citizens are reporting if they see something bad on the street, you know, something is broken, there is no lamp working on, there is garbage on the street, regardless what it is. We have a special division that is following and tracking Dubrovnik I, and they have a reminder if they do not answer on the time. And with this, the citizens help us to run the city even better, to be always on time, because that's most of the time do not happen when there are many problems around. And Vox Populi. So this is a system that we implemented in order to ease our life of the city administration. You always hear from wherever you go, they said that mainly people or citizens are asked what they think of something when there are elections. When the elections pass, no one asks them anything. So this is why we implemented the Vox Populi system of participatory democracy in Dubrovnik. Every year, the citizens of Dubrovnik are deciding about the projects in the area where they live in. So this is the first thing about this system. The second thing is if you have some problem in some area and you have 2 or 3 different solutions, put it on Vox Populi and give it to people that live there to vote for. And with this, that actually is the life of the politicians. And I'm almost done. So a look into the AI future, rich data collected from existing platforms, plus new digital solutions and services, plus effective destination management equals to AI tools, which at the end will improve safety and reduce congestions, better protection of cultural heritage, and better visitor dispersion. Also, what we are working now on is the future project of park and ride system in Dubrovnik, where all of those that are visiting Dubrovnik will be obligated to park their cars on the area close to Dubrovnik, and they could use public transportation to come to the historical site without car congestion, without problems. So it's important that you always deliver a service. If you take something, give something back to all of those that are coming to visit the city. So, sorry if I was a bit more over the time, but I do it as faster as I could. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Mayor. I think this frames our conversation in this session very, very well. It's inspiring. I've been also to Dubrovnik and prior to all this, and I understand the congestion and the overpopulation of tourism and how this is well managed. So congratulations and thanks for sharing this. Before we go on to the panel, I wanted to introduce Milena Gokner-Jobin. She's a co-founder and CEO of Globeholder AI. And she's doing So before moving on, I'd like to introduce Milena Gokner-Jubin, co-founder and CEO of Global Holder AI, who's going to give a short presentation on progressing geographic and AI. Milena, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks a lot. I hope that everyone can hear me well. So nice to meet you, all of you. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Global Holder AI, a technology company based in Paris. It's a research and development company, let's say. What is really brilliant is that City of Dubrovnik has mentioned several real use cases that the cities are facing with. And also around the table, I see that there are a lot of actors from the both sides, cities, decision makers, the policy actors, but also the solution providers. I'm here as a solution provider because in a daily basis, we are facing with the different kind of problems that all these actors are facing with, and we are here to solve them. So what is really interesting is that, so we have developed world's first planetary physical reasoning. What does it mean? So as let's say OpenAI, ChatGPT, so today we are all working with them. So they developed the foundation model of text and the languages. And what we have done at Global Holder AI, so we developed planetary layer physical reasoning. It means that we understand the Earth, we understand any location, and we develop the foundation model of the location. So it means that for any location on Earth, just taking an example of a dot, a point of the location, we generate encapsulated information that brings physical, economical, demographical understanding of this place. So once we understand in a very detailed manner the understanding of Earth, just after, we can perfectly integrate and use into different kind of use cases. So today we are working with, especially on the Gulf region, it means that either the cities not exist yet from scratch, from the master plan, to European cities where there is already a cultural heritage that we should really respect and then move forward. And the using AI, especially this kind of geo-AI related new era of technology is very much important to go fast. I will present you a very short use cases that we have conducted a few weeks ago. So we work for Abu Dhabi region. So we learn the livability index of this place. So it means that we respected what has been, written, described as a livability index, let's say, how far to the seaside, how close to the school location, and different kind of informations that interest really city of Abu Dhabi. And we made immediate projection to Doha, Qatar, where there is no data available. Because we are doing that, especially for the same geographical coverage, same cultural tissue, we'll learn from a pattern and we make the projection to another area. It doesn't mean that the results are immediately perfectly good, no, but that really help us to go fast, especially, OECD, United Nations, Habitat, these kind of big organizations in a daily basis, analyzing city by city, and they supposed to have a lot of informations. So what we are doing to learn from the pattern of the city and to make the projection to another city. So once we have this kind of understanding, we can address different kind of use cases. It means that parking place, management, asset monitoring, road, building infrastructure, population related understanding as well. So we shortened it dramatically to time to process this kind of projects from scratch. So instead of having 3 machine learning scientists or spending 3 months of study, and we provide a no-code platform, and immediately in a few clicks, we can inject the patterns and then make in a few clicks different kind of use cases, including location optimization, where to put best EV charging stations, including the projection use cases, including the prediction use cases, demand prediction, and many others. The last one that I would like to mention is the Earth observation one. It means that we use in a daily manner satellite imagery data and injecting this kind of data set to be able to address also the agriculture related use cases, sustainability related use cases, air quality related use cases as well. So, the first challenge that, most of the cities are facing with, or the big, public organizations or the private organizations are facing with, including the big engineering and consultancy companies, the time to really gathering the data, due to the fact that we have generating in an immediate manner, thanks to our worldwide trained models, the encapsulated data. We might be for any location on Earth very quickly gathering the social, physical, economical understanding of the location. Once we have this understanding, no matter to spend weeks and days and the months to conduct this kind of sophisticated study, and you describe your problems, study area, and we move forward. This has been what has been done for Dubai, Abu Dhabi region. For any locations, each dots that you see represent how similar the area is. So we call it the embeddings of the locations. If the green locations are the similar locations, the purple ones are the similar. And we are always taking in the consideration what is expected. What does it mean, the similarities exactly? If it is livability index, we are taking into consideration the economical, social understanding plus geographical understanding. Okay, how close to the seaside, or where are the green spaces numbers? All these kind of characteristic patterns provide us to generate this kind of sophisticated embeddings. And to have this capability to learn from a city in a few clicks and then make the projection to another city. The next step for the decision makers, for sure, to calibrate and to check if the results are correlated, if the results are correct. So this is a no-code platform. It means that you can really go fast instead of spending 3 months of study to gathering, analyzing, making any kind of use cases. In a few clicks, we can do the same kind of things with a higher accuracy. And thanks to no-code platform, you don't supposed to be a machine learning expert. It's enough that you have an analyst inside. And we provide the very detailed insights for the decision makers. This is globally my presentation. I invite you to check our websites. What is really interesting, so we really make it accessible to everyone. We have a bunch of use cases publicly available, which is really good. So it means that you can explore what does it mean foundation model for the geospatial. What does it mean geo embeddings? You can describe different kind of use cases on the use cases tabs, from the air quality, from the traffic management, demand estimation, and many others. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Milena, for your presentation. We might leave the questions till after and we'll bring them with the panel questions, and also to the Mayor of Dubrovnik as well. So thank you so much. Looking forward now to introduce our panel for this group. We have John Diffuse, who's the team leader for data analysis coordination at the Department of Land Use and Sustainability in Amsterdam, Netherlands. We also have Gianni Rossi, Innovation Manager of Arezzo in Italy. We have Milan Bogonovic, Program Director of Digital Planning at the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government at the Digital Planning Program in the United Kingdom. Silvia Veracci, Head of Public Infrastructure Development and Data Strategy at A2A Mobility at the A2A Group. And Gaetano Volpe, CEO at Latitude 40. So nice to meet you, and thank you very much for being here. We look forward to your interventions. Just to remind you, you have about 3 or 4 minutes per question. So to our first panelist, Jan, Amsterdam is exploring generative AI to support urban design and has published an AI vision stressing transparency and human oversight. From your perspective, what are the biggest challenges in using AI to inform land use and sustainability decisions while keeping planning democratic, explainable, and aligned with local identity? all in 3 minutes.
Thank you very much for this question, Mr. Aubrey. I think the overarching challenge, and also referring to the earlier speakers this morning, is the challenge between braking and accelerating at the same time. So we need to put strategy first. We launched our AI agenda for 2025, 2026, actually today. But we also need to come up to speed to address both the expectations that citizens have of our government and of us using AI. Some great examples we saw just now. But also the fears that citizens might have, because are they being washed over by some digital technique that they don't know what this means for them? And I'll go into 3 specific challenges. I think the first one is accountability. I think we as government, as a city government, should be accountable for the decisions that we make. And if I go to the people designing the traffic lights in my team, and I ask them, okay, can we optimize our traffic lights even further? They say, no, they are optimal. We have done optimizing, and we can start optimizing again if there's new policy, or if there is a new election, and the next administration says, okay, it's not optimal anymore because you want to have, we prefer more room for pedestrians or cars or whatever. Then we can start optimizing again. And I think this is something that you can't ask an AI agent to do, because this is at the very heart of the democratic process that we as city government should be accountable for. If this process becomes opaque and something optimizes our traffic lights, but we're not sure what or how or who it does, I think we might have a problem. So the challenge is to prevent that and to make sure there's, well, a human in the loop there who can use AI, but is still accountable for the decisions that are being made. The second one is responsibility. It's closely related, but it's still something else. Imagine if there would be a new technique for building bridges. Now, something that's invented to build bridges across one of the many canals Amsterdam has, but all the cities have bridges, right? We will be testing this to make sure it actually works, it actually delivers these bridges steadfast for the next 10, 20, 100 years before we would actually build this. And there will be standards and there will be scientific research. We as Amsterdam think that AI as of yet is still an unmature technique. So we have to be very cautious to be implementing this without making sure that we're also responsible for the actions that are being taken because of the AI decision-making process. So this is something to be very, but one of the main challenges to address is how can we mature, how can we cooperate as the city government to make this technique more mature so it can be implemented in our processes in a more responsible way. And this relates to my third challenge. This is AI literacy, I think across the board. I think AI literacy, and Tampere has already mentioned that for citizens, are they aware of their rights, their interests when dealing with AI used by a government? But also AI literacy, and I think this is even more important with my colleagues, people in my team, every public official working for the City of Amsterdam. Can they actually make a value case for using AI? We all know, as mentioned earlier, the tools that are brought upon us by OpenAI and other companies. We all use them every day probably already, but they also have environmental consequences. Can we make a value case that addresses both the negative sides, but also see clearly the value that this brings to us as a city government delivering what's expected of us?
Super, thanks very much, Jan. Yeah, so we've covered the need for accountability, the democratic decision-making process, the AI literacy. Now moving to Gianni Rossi. Arezzo is built on smart city foundations, from integrated mobility systems to digital services, but small and mid-sized cities often face limits in data, expertise, and funding. What have been your biggest challenges in moving from smart infrastructure to true AI-driven services, and how are you working to overcome them?
Hi, thank you everybody. Thank you, Mr. Aubrey. So the challenges we face mainly are summarized in this part. One is the data, one is the people, the expertise gaps that we have, and one is obviously the funding limitation. I listed the three parts in the terms of importance. The most challenging one is the data quality. I mean, right now we don't have a clear data governance framework. We have a risk of poor quality data. You don't put your dirty gasoline in a new engine, because otherwise the results might be dangerous. And we have also some challenges in integrating the existing structure with the new project like the building information modeling. The other one is, obviously, we have heard before, the lackage of expertise, especially inside the municipality, but it's also in the private sector. You can see in the graphic, we have difficulties in Italy to find skilled people in general. It's in the digital field. That are very skilled in the digital competencies, and obviously now with the AI is always it's certainly works. And the other kind of problem is the training. So we have to invest a lot of money in training with the internal sources. People actually is willing to learn about AI, but we need also advanced skill like, data analysts, data specialists, prompt engineers, all the figures that we will miss. And obviously with people with the small municipalities like Arezzo, there will be so many chances to get this highly skilled works inside the organization. The other problem would be the funding, of course, when the municipal budget is always constrained. Some of the new solutions that we have are draining the current expenditure, and so we have very little space for new projects and new innovative solutions. Next slide. Great.
Just to remind you that your 4 minutes is over, but please do, Ravi.
We were trying to leverage the strategic partnership within the cities. We will hear from A2A, which is as in the shareholders, some public entities, so they can always be used as a collaborative way. We have a partnership in European projects. We have here also had the partnership with Hamm, in a German city. And obviously, we're trying to leverage and use as much as we can the EU funding and also the national funds like the recovery funds. We also try to engage people and try to improve the digital literacy of the citizens. That will be much needed in future, because with the advent of the AI, there will need to be raise awareness of the challenges and all the security issues of AI.
Thank you very much. So now to move on to Milan Bogdanovic. UK cities are experimenting with AI in transport and energy, but there are other areas that remain less explored. What do you see as the biggest untapped opportunities for AI to advance sustainability and livability in UK cities, and what would help local governments unlock them?
Thank you, and I'll try to keep to 3 minutes. So you'll see here we have a lovely pink slide saying making the planning system in England fit for the 21st century. In January 2025, the UK government announced its AI Opportunities Action Plan, and one of the biggest barriers to economic growth is development, the manifesto commitments around 1.5 million homes to address some of the housing crisis in cities. Ultimately, all this comes back to a planning system that is federated, which is where a lot of the data is, and also devolved to mayors and cities around the built environment. I'll talk about two areas because I could talk about this for a long time. One is around unlocking data. At the end of the day, the DNA of the built environment is data. And without that, we're in a situation where you can't really adopt lots of AI-enabled tools. You'll also notice there is not the word AI here. This is an ambition which enables AI to achieve a goal rather than AI itself. So one of the things we're trying to do is to make planning data easy to use, find and trust. Rather than people buying data that's been scraped off the internet, various qualities, we are working in central government to aggregate that, make that open and available, and make that available to companies, organizations, and cities. Ultimately, this data is not central government's data. This is local authorities' data, local government's data, which they've made open and available. One of our aims here ultimately is to drive that consistency so you can build economic models, data models that then can be made open and available and made more consistent. The second part is our work that we've been doing with our partners in the incubator for AI, which is extract. So the biggest barrier to get that data is the cabinet office, the cabinet filing cabinets of doom, where paper is effectively all that people have to deal with. So a lot of this is around how do we extract geospatial data from PDF documents going back, decades, if not, we've experimented with some that go back hundreds of years, effectively coordinating a series of AI models to extract the relevant information, the relevant map areas, and extracting that as geospatial data that the local authorities can then publish and then make open and available, addressing the issue, which is the barrier to data. This is something where we've made open source open and available, and our aim here is basically, if you want to have an AI-enabled planning system, you need to make sure that you've got the data made available. The final part to this is around market shaping, supporting those startups in the property technology companies, enabling them around real life user problems. So our latest round 5 of our PropTech Innovation Fund has been around how do you address 1.5 million homes, partnering with industry, academics and local authorities in real life pilots. One of those is around addressing consultation responses, reducing the time it takes for that, but also those local planning authorities can then identify themes around what are their citizens saying around what they want in their built environment. Ultimately, it's a combination of working with local authorities, identifying where central government can help, and unlocking the power of data to enable AI-enabled services.
Many thanks, Milan. Much appreciated. And I'm sorry we're having to be so brief, but these are super interesting interventions. So over now to Silvia Verracci. I'd like to ask you a bit about the A2A that's developing an ambitious plan to support decarbonization of urban mobility. How have data and AI been used to guide and accelerate this transition? Over to you.
Thank you, and thank you all the panelists and the keynotes for the use cases you presented. They were truly impressive. Well, A2A, I don't know how many of you know A2A. We are a very important group, multi-utility company in Italy. We operate across several sectors such as waste management, water management, energy distribution and generation, and smart city. The mobility division has a very impactful and important objective, consisting of the installation of 13,000 charging points in Italy in 10 years, starting from 1,000 charging points. So it's a really, I will say, ambitious plan. And the final goal of this plan is to accelerate the decarbonization of urban mobility in Italy. To achieve this goal in a strategic and data-driven way, we have developed this tool called Site Potential that helped us to estimate the current distribution and pattern of the electric mobility demand in Italy and forecasting the future needs through the combination of several datasets. In particular, a machine learning algorithm combines national databases, including social demographic data and vehicle fleet combination data, mobile data and mobility data, as well as GPS data. We combine them with the charging infrastructure actual usage, and we understand the complexity, the complex distribution of the demand across the national territory level into two levels, I will say. The first one, at a urban scale level, we understand how to prioritize our investments according to the real demand in the territory. At a local scale, we identify the best location of the charging infrastructures with the objective to deliver the solution where it's really needed and according to the real pathways of decarbonization within our cities. We update this model every 6 months according to the changes occurring in this specific sector. And in order also to evaluate the forecasts that we have developed at the beginning phase of this tool. And we are also seeing that the impact of this tool is significant, not only for us that makes investment, but also for the community, because we design our solutions and our infrastructures according to the real needs of the community. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you so much, and thanks for keeping it brief, very much appreciated. Now I'd like to ask our last panelist, Gaetano Volpe from... Yes, I thought it was on. Okay, Latitude 40 uses AI satellite imagery to map heat islands, vegetation, and climate risks. How are cities using these insights to guide practical interventions such as greening, cooling, and flood mitigation? And what have you learned about making geospatial AI understandable to non-technical partners? Over to you. You're here.
I am here. Hello, good morning. In our company, we produce data. So the data is one of the problems to create sustainable and resilient cities. We use satellite because it's a very wide available data with an history. So we can move from the past to the today. And the problem is difficult to access to this data. So we offer a promise to the customer to transform this raw data into decision that a city can execute now or tomorrow. For example, we provide data regarding land surface temperature, urban heat islands, heat wave risk, flooding risk, pollution, and also the presence of hazardous materials and illegal landfills. The problem is that we can offer a solution where the city is hot or vulnerable, and with our solution, we offer the capability to what to do first and how to prove the impact of the action of the city. So, for example, using our data, we can combine the temperature of the city at 10-meter resolution with the cover density, the 3.8, the greenery health trends, and the macroclimatic performance index. And so we can suggest idea to prioritize shade where people stay in the big part of the city, like school, bus stops, sidewalks. The same we do for flooding. We can prevent and identify risk for flooding. That is one of the big risks for our future. Also with the IPCC scenario, identifying pluvial, coastal, or river. And in this case, our customer, our urban planner or cities can define where to create defense to the flooding. Two concrete examples. We work with a city in Ireland Sandyford. They used our technology to convert a 1 hectare site into a new civic park, reducing local stress and improving the climatic of public space. The other case is the government of Abu Dhabi. They are using our simulation tool to assess all the new real estate project against the Dubai 2050 strategy. So if there is enough green, enough space for defense, and so on. We can do this with generative AI. So we can import the master plan of the cities and simulate the future, creating synthetic satellite imagery. So we simulate the passage in the future in 1, 5, or 10 years. So this can, it's a changing, because in this case, human don't see just analytics, but they can compare future different scenarios and see the best one. Finally, we are trying to break the barrier between user technology, so we are integrating a copilot in our technology. So the people in the city, the urban planner or the infrastructure manager don't need to play with a map. They can just ask, where should we plant 500 trees to reduce urban in Thailand, or which asset of my portfolio need the flood detection? In this case, our copilot give the answer. So this, closing my intervention, we created climate data for not expert. And during this, we learned that outcome language beats pixel language. Now all this data are based on pixel, but the people that use this data have a lot of problem to understand what is contained in a colored pixel. The second aspect is that future scenario beats snapshots. And finally, the time. With our solution, we can accelerate the time from 12, 18 months to 1 day to analyze the city.
Very impressive. Thank you so much. We're going to do a quick second round of questions. This time you will have only 2 minutes to respond, so I'm going to simplify the questions that you've been given. So back to Jan on Amsterdam. What do you see is the major missed opportunity so far? For what gap should the AI fill moving forward?
Thank you. I see hundreds of opportunities missed or not missed yet, but 2 of them are as follows. I think the generative AI generating pictures of the desired environment that people want to live in is a big opportunity to co-design and co-create our streets and our public spaces with our citizens. Because you can generate pictures of how it's going to look like in a matter of seconds. So you can have discussion or deliberation on, should this be more green, even more green? Oh, this might be a bit too green. Where do I park my bike? So make it a little less green. I think this is a process that generating ideas, visions, and actually make them visible together with citizens is very promising. Not everybody can read maps, but everybody can see this. And the second one is to make policy documents far more accessible, and so everybody can ask, okay, what is the actual policy, spatial policy or sustainability policy for this, for my home? What can I build on top of it or in front of it, or what can't I do? Can I have 2 cars here, etc., etc.? So make this heaps of policy documents actually questionable in a very everyday language way.
Brilliant, thank you so much. And to Gianni, which AI uses seem to be most promising to scale in a city like Arezzo? And what would help smaller municipalities deploy them effectively?
Thank you. So the most promising AI application for Arezzo, our solution that we already heard in this room. I mean, the flow forecasting visitors, something also the city of Dubrovnik is doing. Some other are linked to the environmental monitoring, like urban heat mapping is very important for us. and some others for citizen engagement. So nothing very news here, and some pilots are already in real use. What we are trying to do to involve other maybe smaller municipalities is to realize joint procurement consortia where we have specialized people that can be like AI governance officer and can help other citizens smaller in size to develop and to choose the right AI tools for they need and for their services. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks, Gianni. Next question then to Milan. What national frameworks and standards are being put in place to ensure that local AI projects project citizens' rights, comply with data protection regulations, and deliver environment and social benefits?
Thank you. So I think ultimately we've been looking at how you set out a principle-based approach to AI governance. So really understanding fundamentally where are your key actors, your fundamental guardrails that you want to put in place, and ultimately, as you're doing your evaluation, being very, very clear around where it hits on your tolerance thresholds. Ultimately, data protection, GDPR being the cornerstone of our foundations around protecting data. Ultimately, you don't want to be collecting data you don't need to have. Fundamentally, we also look at aspects around human in the loop, making sure that human oversight is non-negotiable. And also within this, looking at the regulatory sandboxes. So we have in the UK lots of regulation that is linked to information laws from a different time. And so looking at how we can explore our regulatory sandboxes with AI to test out whether the legislation is still relevant with the use of AI within that space. And it's a combination of all of those things, both nationally and locally, that help us find a balance in our piloting, testing, and then ultimately scaling.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And now to Sylvia. A2A works closely with cities and the public sector. What are the main barriers to integrating mobility, lighting, and energy data across the different urban systems?
As I mentioned before, A2A works with cities, and in some cases they are our shareholders. Working with cities is extremely valuable because we do see the impact of what we do. On the other hand, it is extremely complex because cities, especially the biggest one, are very complex ecosystems. In terms of services integration and data management, I think that the main barriers are, first of all, the fragmented governance and data ownership. All the data are available, but they are distributed and spread across several departments within the same city. Then there is a lack of standardization, which makes interoperability very complex. And finally, I think that there is still cultural barrier. And also, I will say that cities, also in the same region, proceed at different paces. In this context, the role of A2A is not only to provide infrastructures, build infrastructures and services, but also help cities in overcome these barriers. A2A Green Rise is a clear example of this. This is a project we are working on. I am leading actually at the moment, and it consists of the development of a digital platform helping cities in plan and monitoring green infrastructures for climate adaptation. The main goal of the tool is to support cities in designing climate adaptation with a single urban intelligence platform that combines data coming from the satellite and I will say open sources, combine them through a machine learning algorithm and delivers nature-based planning maps. what we are observing, interviewing municipalities in this period, because we are validating the project by now. It is an innovation process, so we are still validating our idea and identify the real barriers and issues that cities have to face. And what we are actually realizing is that data are available. There are a lot of data, but the problem is the fragmentation of them. This tool aims helping city to move from a fragmented approach to I will say integrated approach. I'll be happy to show you the progress of this project in the next month. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sylvia. And lastly, lastly, Gaetano from Latitude 40. From your perspective and based on the work of Latitude 40, what untapped opportunities do you see for applying AI and geospatial intelligence in cities beyond climate mapping to improve sustainability and livability?
Yeah, as I said, the data is the key factor. And at the moment, the first aspect is to create, remove the barrier, create a digital digital heritage in these cities to do this, and use this data to go over the simple mapping, but to go using the data to improve proactive maintenance of greener infrastructure, identify a sustainability that go over the city center, but as an equity sustainability that go also in poor part of the city. Third, simulate the different scenarios, as I said, and connect with the cost opportunity. Sometimes city make investments without this really data-based evidence. With the simulation, with this Sea of the Future, I can simulate what are the benefit of different investment and choose the best, not only that is the most economic, but is also the most impactful for city. And also going back with the satellite, I can see also the return on investment of past intervention in a logic of MRV. So this is all new things that needs to be included in the city policy, city strategy, and vision for the future.
Thank you so much. We have 5 or 10 minutes for questions and answers. And at this point, we'd like to invite questions also to Mayor, the questions that you might have to Mayor Frankovic, and also to Melina Gokner-Jubin, as well as to the panelists. So if you have a question, raise your name tag and we can open the floor. And point it towards me so I can see who you are. Great, thank you. Okay, let's hear first from ICLEI, and then World Bank, and then Vanatik AI. Over to you. Don't forget to use your microphone.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Tanya Bajcheva-Merger from ICLEI Europe. And before my question, thanks to all the panelists for the wonderful presentations and insights. We had heard very interesting use cases about the opportunities, challenges when it comes to the deployment and use of AI in urban contexts. But we know also that training and running AI models is very often associated with energy use and carbon emissions, but this has been hardly touched upon in the discussion. So my question is how to manage the environmental impact of AI systems in a city context. Is this a challenge for the cities or a major concern? Or if yes, how to manage it and how to deal with this?
Thank you. We'll take a few other questions, I think.
First of all, thank you very much for inviting us, the World Bank, to be here. And it's really congratulations because I think OECD has been very forward-looking to grasp this idea. World Bank, like many other organizations, have been working on smart cities for many years, and now with AI, and we're all trying to figure out what are the additional implications for our cities, their planning. And one of the things that today this session also demonstrated, that data is very important. It's really one of the foundations to drive this. And of course, that we have also heard, in particular true in many developing country cities, that's where we work with the data bias, right? And that how we make sure that you have this equity of data, and the data reflects also in particular vulnerable community. This is one thing. And the second part is also maybe also for OECD and other partner organizations, where we have heard really very interesting city, the excellent examples from many OECD cities. What would be, but for many cities we work with, is really quite far away from where Paris and others where they are. What would be the enabling conditions for those cities to move toward more smart and AI empowered, the enabling conditions, and what would make them a little bit more ready? What kind of infrastructure that would be needed for those cities to take advantage of AI-driven smart cities? Thank you.
Thank you. And the third question from Vanatik AI.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Roundtable AI, a US company that is now active also here in Europe. And my question to Mayor Frankovic and to the gentleman from the city of Amsterdam is also whether you're considering using AI more at the platform level than an application level. Most of the use cases that we've seen here presented were application level solutions. We are very interested in how to put everything together and in one integration layer, and therefore potentially create those use cases much more often and much easier. So if you could also speak to the basically platform level innovation, Vantik can help you with that. Thank you.
Thanks. We'll take 3 more questions and then we can respond to them. We have a question, I think, from Turkey, Guru Hapold, and someone there where I can't see you writing. Okay, and another one next to you. Okay, and that will be it for questions. Over to Turkey.
Thank you for having us. It's not a question actually, but it's a comment. In the last session, representative from Germany mentioned that the municipalities are where AI become real. And in the session, Mayor Frankovic proved that actually with his detailed presentation. And I'd like to make a contribution from a municipality perspective, but from the underground. Before starting, let me introduce myself. I'm Yusuf Demet, Deputy General Director in Konya Water and Sewerage Administration in Turkey. Konya is the largest city in Turkey with its more than 40,000 kilometer square area. Our main goal here is to ensure that digitalization and artificial intelligence are not pursued as technological ends themselves, but rather as tools to enhance the well-being of our citizens and to help us more inclusive, sustainable, and resilient communities. To achieve this harmony, we believe that the first priority should be a focus on human-centered outcomes and strategic alignment. Secondly, we emphasize the integration of sustainability and net zero targets. Thirdly, we attach great importance to trust, governance, and stakeholder participation. To keep it short, I don't want to go into details yet, but I want to briefly share our strategical approach in this context. In Konya Water and Sewerage Administration, aka KOSGI, we adopt a multi-layered approach within the smart cities framework. At the foundation, we have the urban infrastructure layer covering everything from communication networks such as fiber optic systems and data infrastructure to drinking water and wastewater networks. These systems indirectly affects citizens' daily lives, but from the backbone of all our policies. The next layer includes institutional digital systems that may not be visible to citizens, but play a key role in ensuring water security and smarter operations, such as our geographical information systems, water management software, and COSGA's application and communication center. Finally, at the top layer, we focus on citizen-oriented applications. For instance, we have developed a digital infrastructure status certificate system. Previously, citizens had to apply in person and had to wait about a week for the results. Today, through our in-house software, they can obtain all necessary infrastructure information for a planned construction site online within just 30 minutes. This is only one of dozens of initiatives we have implemented to enhance citizens' well-being. Looking ahead, we aim to further expand the use of AI to improve efficiency, sustainability, and most importantly, the quality of life for everyone living. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's very inspiring. Let's hear from Buru. You have a question, Buru Happel, huh? Thank you.
Thank you. My question is about, it actually echoes what ICLEI raised, but basically the AI tools, whilst they're being used throughout smart city strategies for sustainable development, their training and inference will ultimately lead to a significant environmental impact. And at this stage, we haven't really measured what this impact will be in terms of utilities, in terms of land use. So my question is, how do we reconcile the paradoxical impacts of AI in the urban space? And then the second part of my question is, how do we approach the sort of AI first narrative that might be a risk? So how can we ensure that we encompass problem first approaches to urban climate challenges as opposed to an AI first approach? Thank you.
Thanks so much. Yes, introduce yourself because I can't.
I guess I should take this off. My name is Linda Lilienfeld, and I have an organization called Let's Talk About Water, where we try to make complex information about water science available to the public. And I work with the Water Governance Initiative that's part of OECD. And I want to thank OECD for always being at the forefront of making very complex information accessible and creating this kind of seminar amongst us all that's very, very fruitful and very interesting. Having worked in the water sector for 25 years, data is, of course, the key question, and continuous data and access to data. And the question I have is, models that are created from the data in the hydrologic community are basically being outstripped by the climate reality. And so with the climate reality being much more disastrous than we anticipated, hydrologists themselves are scrambling for how to assess the future to make policy that's consistent with protecting the public now. AI tools are very seductive and very exciting, but I wonder, since AI is based on basically information fed into the digital ecosystem, how AI tools might be able to penetrate the future. I guess that's my question.
Thank you so much. And last one, please introduce yourself because I can't see your label.
Good morning. Assimilatel Patourou, Saint-Denis Municipality. So it will be a more technical question. Thank you for the insightful presentation first. And then I will ask my technical question. It's more general, but I look to Dubrovnik. Congratulations for all these tools. My question is, do these tools communicate between them? Is there an integrated vision? Because there is a lot of impacts and a lot of kinds of public services that are concerned. So there could be connections, and in that case, how do we carry on the different rights and information?
Thanks very much. So we have, so just to recap, how are we managing the environmental impact of AI in cities? What are the enabling conditions? How do we bring it all into one place? And that was a specific question to the mayor of Dubrovnik and to Jan. And what is and again, the environmental impact of AI in the urban space? How are we shifting from AI first to problem first? And how does AI launch us into the future? I think these are the main questions. So over to the panelists. Maybe let's start with the mayor, and we can hear from the other panelists very briefly, and then we'll have to close. Thanks.
Thank you very much. It's very important that we had to be aware that AI is our assistance. It's not system that thinks instead of us. It helps us thinking in finding the solution. AI is not decision maker. We are. AI does not have a heart or soul. This is what we serve for. So the importance of AI in the future, it will be great. But we need to have different digital tools in order to give to AI information what the things can be done. So all of this information that we have from our different digital tools could be combined jointly and given to the AI in order for the AI to see and recognize what the problems and solutions could be done. Sometimes AI could be great, sometimes not, but it could help you. This is very important. So for the specific questions considering integration of the systems that we in Dubrovnik have, so we have, I presented you Dubrovnik people counter system. So within a people counter, we have a prediction system that predicts how many people will be at a certain day in Dubrovnik. And you have a map chart over there, and you can press a date and see what is the predicted number of the people or how big the crowd is going to be that day. How that is calculated? Exactly, it's taking all the inputs from all this application and it's counting as the AI and actually gives you an information of expected crowd in that day. Why is that important? Because you as a visitor want to come to the old city of Dubrovnik when there is better enjoyment. And this is with using AI. But again, the world does not end with the AI. We have to be aware of that. And the AI is the assisting tool. And this is why we, as decision makers, had to sometimes be brave and take hard decisions according to all of those inputs that are coming from different systems. Sometimes that is AI, sometimes some other systems. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So we're open to the panelists to respond to some of the other questions that came up. Please go ahead. Jan.
Yes, thank you. Regarding the environmental aspects, I think this is a very important subject, not only on AI, but on everything in the digitalization, the discourse, I'd say. And I think it's also it should be part of AI literacy. So if you use AI, you do so because you gain something. There are benefits of it, but there are also costs, not only costs in financial costs, but also environmental costs. It should be part of the AI literacy to weigh those and to make sure you make the right decision, you have the right value case to actually use this AI. And if these environmental costs are bigger, then you might refrain from using AI for this type of solution. And we definitely need more metrics and ways of putting these environmental aspects in our procuring questions, I'd say, from a city government perspective. That's one. Talking about procuring, I just heard from my the other side, a great solution, platform level AI. It sounds like an answer, but I'm not sure we have the right questions yet that this might be an answer to. So maybe in the future, I'll get back to you on that.
Thank you very much. Does any other panelists want to come back? Yes.
Yeah. It's interesting, the concept regarding the quality and affordability of the data. This is a really important when we speak about climate, about impact. And one aspect is that I see that satellite can give a solution on this for two reasons. One, because the data is produced by institutions. So European Union with Copernicus, Italy invested 1.2 billion to create a constellation of 36 new satellites. So the source is certified by the institution. Second, because we have now about 20 years of history everywhere in the world. So we can go back in the past, verify, teach to the algorithm to understand what is happening, and then to verify what happened before and after that event. So at this moment, I defend my solution based for cities. Satellite probably today is the only solution that has this vision for time machine, because I can take information and create trends in the last 20 years from institutional providers.
Thank you. Know what's happened helps understand trends and preparedness for the future. Milan, do you want to come back?
Yeah, just two things. One on the environmental aspects. The UK government's been developing their AI growth zones. So think about the problem first around going, okay, where are we going to, in our country, place AI data centers? What are the constraints that are associated within those? And how do we also put the challenges back to the companies around thinking about the environment around as they generate their new AI data centers, and how they use less energy and water as a result. The second bit around one platform to rule them all, it just reminds me of Lord of the Rings sometimes a little bit, but the piece here is around things like the use of AI agentic agents and networks, multiple different platforms and how they interoperate, because ultimately we don't know how these will evolve in the future and when new foundational models come in, as well as new technologies. So thinking around interoperability of platforms is equally as important as the data that's underlying it.
Well, thanks for touching on the interoperability. That's super important. Sylvia.
Thank you. With reference to the environmental impact of AI, I think that, of course, AI demands computing and it has an environmental impact, but the real story is about innovation. I think that considering also, for example, data centers that you mentioned, the real impact, what we can do is about research and innovate with the main concern and with the objective to provide circular economy in this new infrastructure. For example, the heat generated from a data center can be distributed in cities as a heating systems. There are already solutions about it, some others to be implemented, but again, the real story is about innovation and research and development, I think.
Super, thank you. Any other panelists want to come in? Or okay, I'll give the floor. Thank you very much to our panelists. And just before we close, I'd like to give the floor, to Rudiger Ahrend, who's going to help wrap up this conversation. And I don't envy you that task. Over to you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, this has been an incredibly rich discussion, and I certainly have learned a lot of stuff today. So I hope I assume that's true for everybody. Just wanted to quickly, basically, try to maybe structure the discussion a bit from a more meta point, basically. And so, I mean, in a way, what we've been seeing a lot of use cases of AI, and maybe we can put them in three categories. I mean, that may not be exhaustive, but basically, I have these three categories which we talked about a lot today. The first one would be something like flow management, and that includes everything related to transport, tourism, and then all these areas. The second one would be citizen engagement, and that is kind of like, asking your population where the money should be spent, or basically bringing them in and telling you where the potholes are, and so on and so forth. And the third one would be monitoring, and that is a lot with respect, for example, to environmental questions, also kind of like questions with flooding, disasters, and so on, and also more general with security. There is a fourth possibility that we didn't really discuss, and which is somehow connected to the monitoring, but which is discussed in the OECD issues paper. And if I may also do a bit of auto promotion, where I mean, as most of you have seen it probably, but those of you who haven't looked at the OECD issues paper, that is the background for the conference. It's a really nice paper, and it's basically, I mean, also discussing a lot of use cases, also giving you a bit of, I mean, a conceptual framework for AI enablers and AI assets in cities. And also wanted to thank the authors of this paper. So, I mean, Stefan next to me, Sandrine and Oscar, and Rang, who I think have been doing a really, really good job writing this paper. And there in this one, there's a use case that I found very interesting, and that's something we haven't really been discussing about today. And I think this is because it is with data that are not really directly related to the city. So that's not something where the mayor can decide, let's do this, because it's not him who has the data, but it is basically in certain places what people are doing, they're using financial data, and they're looking at the risk of a household to over the next 6 months to basically become homeless. And with that, then they make an intervention, and apparently 70–80% of the cases, then this homelessness can be avoided. And that is, I mean, I think that's a really interesting application as well, and just basically wanted to mention it because, I mean, I thought that was worth mentioning. Then basically we also discussed a bit of the challenges that the use of AI brings with us. I mean, one of them obviously is data protection. Then another one is respected with the maturity of the AI, that there's a democratic oversight of what the AI is being used for, and also that there's an issue with AI literacy in the population. Then there can also be an issue with privacy. Can go both ways, can go in the way that maybe somehow can be an infringement on privacy, but can also be in the sense that maybe privacy rules in certain countries are so stringent that that basically is blocking a lot of progress that could be made and could be making the life of the population better. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying that we don't need privacy regulations; they're very important. But I mean, you can have, you know, you can even have a lot too much of a good thing, and that certainly is, I think, the case in certain countries, including the country where I'm coming from. And last but not least, we also mentioned the regulatory efficiency. And that in a situation where we're having, you know, AI in the smart city context, a lot of the regulation looks pretty ancient, and it is not at all clear that this, or it's not clear which part of this regulation is does still make sense, is still needed, and there needs to be a certain amount of reviewing these and then possibly also changing them in the future. And with that, I wanted to end my intervention. Thank you for your attention. I'm giving back the floor to you.
Thanks very much, Rodrigo. Very much appreciate this session. Just want to thank Mayor Frankovic, Milena, Eubin, and also our excellent panelists for your interventions. Sorry the time is short. It was very rich discussion. Now we're going into lunch, and we'll be reconvening at 2 o'clock for the session on enabling the adoption of AI for urban development. So enjoy your lunch and see you back here at 2 o'clock.